the GM and creator of the World Walkers universe. And with me is Shannon. What up, Shannon?
Hi. Am I supposed to say more than that? I'm really bad at intro.
Yeah, what does Shannon do when Shannon's busy being Shannon?
Shannon is a co-host of Gamers Table, and we're also doing a Twitch show called The Challengers, where we're superheroes in the 1960s.
Nice.
I didn't think about the year. And you can find that at twitch.tv/gamerstable, because it'd be bad if I said these things and didn't tell you where to find them.
Good luck finding these things. Screen goes dark.
Yes.
What are you playing over there?
Me? What?
Your character, like.
Oh, my character. I am playing Arctic Flare. She's a scientist, and I do more sciencing than fighting. But my superpowers are heat powers and ice powers, kind of like Todoroki from My Hero Academia.
Nice.
Power play. I like it.
And then with us are 3 out of the 4 or 5, depending on if you count NPCs as people. 3 out of the 5 members of the COG crew. So we'll start with Frank.
No. What up, everyone? I'm Frank. I play Sabin Hawksley, a.k.a. Big Juice, a.k.a. Cubes, a.k.a. we'll find out later, right?
I love.
Is that a nickname or is that like
I feel like that's a legitimate nickname. We'll find out later. Yeah.
A.k.a. Bowflex.
Can you get closer to your mic or bring your mic more in the center?
How's this?
That's a lot better. Yeah.
Better.
Nice. Yeah.
AKA Bowflex, is that what you said?
Yeah. Because fucking with them is a workout.
I hate it so much.
That is great.
I'm flanked by Reggie.
All right.
I play Luca Lu. A warlock forged who is trying to leave that darkness in his past and branching hardcore into fighter.
Can we talk to Luca for a second?
Which one?
That's what I was about to say. Hi guys, how's everybody doing tonight?
Yes.
I'm just really, really excited to be here, but I was hoping I could hear a few stories instead of tell some.
Yes. And then what about Callie?
I'm Callie. I play Nova, the Forged Barbarian and Paladin.
Nice. And then can we talk to Nova for a second?
Why do you want to talk to me? I don't. Why am I here?
That's pretty good, actually. Oh man. So yeah, thanks for joining us. We actually tried to knock this out of the park without you guys. Last World Talkers, we were going to talk about World Walkers and then World Walkers COG, and there was so much to get off the plate with World Walkers that we kind of didn't get into World Walkers COG.
Be like that.
It do.
There's a lot happening everywhere.
There is. And so we kind of just relented to trying to resolve it all by just coming back and bringing the rest of you guys here too. I'm going to try and pop the chat out so it's easier for me to see over here.
Yeah, that's what I did.
Yeah, cool. It's funny because we have the D&D Beyond extension. So if you hover over, I forgot about that. If you hover over the Twitch screen, you can see where the World Walkers Rolanish crew is still at last time we left off.
Oh, is that still up there?
It's still up there, yeah. So you can see like what your hit points are at from the last time we played. So it's kind of funny. But okay, I got the chat up right now.
I
Cool.
just took a very long time trying to figure out chat on my phone, but I've got it now.
All right. So we're going to be going through topic by topic and talking about the episode. If you have not seen, or if you have not listened to episode 10, which is titled "The One with All the Lore," you'd probably be best advised to either stop listening right now, stop watching us, and going and checking that episode. This will be archived here, and then you can also catch the episode on our YouTube channel. So yeah, you can always listen to this later. Or if you don't care about spoilers, come hang out with us. And then this is 1 2 Toast 3. Sorry, I'm late. My Chromecast does not like Twitch. Hey, what's up, Toast?
Real life.
We also we have a Patreon, patreon.com/worldwalkers. That's not just a shameless plug. I'm really terrible about plugging my stuff. I actually was just talking about like Shannon's like, do you want me to tweet this out so people know that we're going to broadcast? I was like, oh yeah, I don't like tweeting about my stuff for some reason. It's like, even though we moved to Twitch, I was like, don't tell anyone. I'm not doing it for the shameless plug. I'm doing it to explain that after we get through our topics, we are going to be taking questions from patrons. So usually when we do this, we make sure that patrons get priority on the questions. So we're going to do that, and then we're going to take questions from the chat. So are you guys ready to jump into the topics?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
So first off, I want to explain, this was a pretty interesting episode, I think, because previously the Cog crew had been assisting a goblin named Haversack. Fun little romp through the forest, trying to help him become truly free from his bugbear master. It was all fun and games until the Forge lost their hearing and had to return to a ritualist named Lexter, who they had kind of gotten some help from in the past. Once they returned to his shop, they found out he'd been kind of manipulating them. He was the one that actually took their hearing in the first place so that he could try to elicit some help from them. After a line of questioning, he had revealed that he was in fact the one that created the Forged in the first place. That was a pretty big revelation for the group, and so they started hitting him with a whole bunch of questions in a row. Emotions were high, and they wanted to know what was his role in all this. And this episode turned into something of a pretty major info dump, a lot of exposition, as the group started really trying to find out what his role in the Forge creation was. And I think they got even more information than they originally anticipated as he went not just into the Forge creation, but like a lot of backstory into the world of Cog as a whole. I think first off, I wanted to ask everyone when the story first starts off, as he first starts talking, he talks about the gnomes. He says in order to talk about any of this, you kind of first have to dig into the history of the gnomes. And he explains that those who've been with Cog for a while, World Walker's Cog, I think, is the first time anyone's had like a major access to the world of Cog. But we've seen Cog in World Walkers, and there was even a World Walkers live stream for a little bit. Not a lot of people knew about it, but we had members from Patreon who used to play in a World Walkers Cog live stream. I think I have the episodes on my computer, but I've never had time to upload them and put them on YouTube, and they're kind of low quality, so I've kind of been dodging that. But for those who have seen it, have kind of been like developing some opinions about the gnomes. This is the first time most of the audience has heard that the idea of like two factions of gnomes that have worked on, like one on technology and one that developed magic. So this means that the majority of innovation on Cog seems to come from the gnomes, according to Lexter. So one thing I wanted to ask off the bat, this goes to everybody, like, do you guys generally trust Lexter on this stuff? At least we'll go piece by piece, right? But like, Shannon, what was your impression when it came to this? Like, do you generally trust Lexter when he's talking about like the gnomes? Like, is he a trustworthy narrator or an untrustworthy narrator?
So for me, it's such a different thing because, like, most of Cog's history, like I just know from a podcast, and so like I don't have, the PhD in Cogisms like some of the other people do. And so for me, it's like, oh yeah, sure, I'll believe this because like
Yeah.
I only know that things are different because like how the players reacted, because they're
Yeah.
like, oh, this is wrong and this is wrong and this is wrong. But yeah, I like to believe him. I love the thought of like hidden narratives of like, history is told by the winners, so it's changed. And yeah, so that's kind of where I think this is going.
What about the rest of you?
Who wants to go first?
Lecture's senile. No, no, I generally believe him, or at least I believe that he believes it.
Mm-hmm. Like in regards to the gnomes?
Yeah, I mean, he seems like he's telling the truth, so Saban believes it. It's better than Saban's other theory, which is also mine.
Yeah.
You just got shit. What was the word? They got raptured.
I can't.
Well, that's
But
going to
don't
be an
forget-
ongoing. That's going to be an ongoing conversation, right? That like the division between whether or not you believe something versus your character, I think is going to be really interesting. Like, how many times is there a division between you versus your character?
Right.
Yeah.
I've happened a few times, especially when like,
Yeah. Like we'll get to. I'm going to bring it up topic by topic, but yeah.
oh shit, all right.
Yeah. But
I thought you were gonna say the topic didn't keep coming up about the rapture, and I was like, well, yeah.
oh yeah. But yeah, Reggie.
So it's funny that you brought that up that way, because I was going to say me and Luca are of differing minds on this.
Yeah.
I have, as a player, I've gotten this habit of like, you can't be too careful. And usually when somebody has as much information as Lexter has, they are doling it out in very meager portions. Even when it looks like he's dropping big bombs like he just did, he is keeping something to
Yeah.
himself. Whether he thinks it makes him look better or it'll motivate us better or trying to protect the whole story or other people involved, he is keeping something from our characters that probably we would do better knowing, but
Mhm.
but that's my untrustworthy nature with people who hoard that much knowledge. You know what I mean? Who hold on to that so many big secrets like that. Whereas Luca's all ready to go in trusting. Like he understands the motivations behind why he took our hearing. Like that was a A to B so that I could get C. Okay. And he immediately forgave him for that, but kind of reprimanded him. You could have just asked, but we're here now and I appreciate your honesty. Let's move forward. That's Luca's train of thought. Let's move forward and try to make things better.
Yeah. And then Callie.
I think mine and Nova's are probably fairly simple or fairly similar. I mean, just Nova's pretty skeptical of a lot of people and things. And so I think to a certain extent, I mean, most of the things he said lines up with things that she already knows. So to a certain extent, at least, I believe him. I think it's a very good chance that he probably doesn't necessarily have all the information exactly. Like, it seems like he has a lot. But does he know exactly why the gnomes left or exactly why some of these other things that aren't specifically to do with him happened? I don't know. And so therefore there's that question of how accurate he is exactly. But I think for the most part, he's telling us the truth as far as he knows. But I agree with Reggie that he's probably holding something back that's not necessarily super relevant to right now, as far as he thinks, at least.
Yeah. And then to follow that up, like, so we have there's a section of the listener base that loves to kind of dig into the kind of the conspiracy level, the conspiracy theory, right? And for a while now, there's been some conspiracy theories, maybe not rapture level, but
We're not all woke.
not all woke. Hashtag woke, yeah. But there has been this kind of like ongoing theory. It's very it's not widespread, but there has been the occasional listener that has thought that the gnomes have met a terrible fate, right? Previously, there is a conspiracy theory out there that some of the listeners have thought that the dwarves had something to do with the disappearance of the gnomes. They thought it was very weird that there was the gnomes, they had all the tech, and then it's the general story out there has been that the gnomes passed it on to the dwarves for their safekeeping, and then the gnomes just kind of, they got in the car with Sandy, with Sandy, and they just flew away at the end of the Grease, right? And everything's been great since then. But there's some people who believe that the dwarves just handled their business, right? With this added twist that there's a whole other faction of gnomes, and they headed out and established relationships with the kingdom of Kadim, right? What does that do? First off, did any of you have that line of thought that the dwarves did something to the gnomes?
No, but I'm on board now.
Yeah.
I mean, at some point, I think it was like a question, at least.
I'm very upset that Frank has turned from his rapture theory so quickly.
Well,
I was already
it's a-
I'm on board with this rapture.
Mecha rapture.
Yeah.
well, it's a forced rapture.
It's a forced rapture. So basically,
Well, I mean, but one's part of a divine plan. This is part of a dwarf plan.
basically what I'm throwing out there is, if the gnomes split into two factions, two groups, right? Does this new information do anything to that theory? Does it make it more likely, less likely? Did the dwarves do something to the gnomes, and did the kingdom of Kadim also do something? What does that do to this theory?
I don't think that the dwarves have the stones. See what I did there? I don't think they have it in them to have been able to. It's like the underdog going against the technologically advanced. I just don't think the gnomes would have went down where there was no one left to tell the story.
Yeah.
Even with a faction splitting off and the help of that faction, I have to believe that the majority of the gnomes would have stuck together, and that would not have been a war that anybody wanted. So my theory is that they saw where things were going, foresight, some kind of knowing the wars that would come and everything that was coming, and they left world. Packed up and left because nobody clearly was going to listen to them once they got an inkling of what was going down. Kadim itself is a testament to everything they didn't want.
Or
Rapture.
Bounce off that. Or rapture, yeah. Or for the important answer, I mean, they got those 4 sky towers, right? What's to say they didn't just use those as aerial platforms to launch space shuttles?
I was going to ask you to expand on that, because not everybody knows about the towers, but then you took it to fucking spaceships. We actually have a friend who runs a world where the gnomes did leave off into space. And this is not a crossover. I just want to make it clear. I want to point out that in the chat, Johnny Blue
What up?
says, well, wait, a grease ref. Oh my God, is the COG game all a dream and Sandy's been dead this whole time?
You know too much, Johnny.
Shut it down! No, but
Sandy got raptured too.
no, no, but between you pointing out the towers and Data pointing out, Data's one of our players in the Rolanus game. He's been playing in a couple of our games, and he played in a game where they found an underground gnomish door that they never cracked open.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's right. I forgot about that.
But
They're not being
The rounds.
Shut the fuck up.
What?
there are a series of tunnels that have been talked about in the World Walkers podcast called the Rounds.
Mhm.
And those lead off world. And Reggie is pointing out there's a giant door underground.
Mhm.
But yeah, there are these sky towers that some of the in other games have been discovered that they believe are no mission origin. I think Cranky's referring to
So how long have the gnomes been gone?
Mm.
the long time. Like
They have been gone since as far back as I can remember playing.
Wait,
it doesn't help. There's no reference point for anyone else, Frankie.
Nope.
I had a gnome like in the couple hundred years ago, Cog.
Yeah.
A couple hundred years. Okay, it's a couple hundred
Really?
years.
Her name was like Tanya or whatever, the Lion Rider. My druid, which
Yeah.
is funny.
It'd be hundreds and hundreds of years ago.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Then
I was gonna say that's the only reference point.
the only
Every
that
now
we
and
did-
then someone asks about like why technology doesn't progress. And one of the reasons is that like the dwarves' technology is wildly and overly complicated. And the dwarves don't have any innovation.
Mm.
Like they don't know how it works as far as anyone can tell.
Can I bring up something from our Furious Funk days?
Yeah.
Like we found out about the overcomplications. If that's
Mhm.
Yeah.
the dwarves do it on purpose. They are doing just fine as far as innovation goes. They literally go out of their way to keep making things more and more and more and more complicated so that no other race can figure it out. And then each brotherhood has their own set of kind of keys or secrets so that the other brotherhoods can't use their tech too.
Yeah. The last game that they played in, yeah. So the public believes dwarves don't have any innovation, but the last game that they played in, they had a group called the Furious Funks, and that's a persona that they like to push out. But part of the problem is their innovation is flummoxed by the fact that they don't share, but they have these like facilities that no one has access to. Like whatever they're doing, it's not public.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, they don't work together, so they can't come up with anything
Yeah.
more.
It's like nowadays with technology, the different countries say that they're sharing, but they're
Right.
not sharing everything that they're
Yeah.
learning and stuff like that.
Yeah, 1 2 toast 3 says Cog needs open source.
Need a stool pigeon.
Yeah.
I was actually thinking about that, like how it's interesting how it's like I don't feel like there's a good faction in COG, like of the major factions. Like all of them kind of suck. And it's all because of the same thing. Like we're so used to like freedom should be free and or information should be free.
I think
Freedom
it was that
also
Team
should-
America.
Yeah.
Freedom isn't free.
Information should be free.
Yeah.
I lost my train of thought by stumbling over words.
No, it's okay. Yeah.
Oh,
All I
but
want
yeah,
to do is
they're
sing
always
Team America now.
That's what I was at too.
It's a hefty fucking fee.
probably what I was thinking of.
You were saying we're used to the concept that information should be free.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. That when you are on a world where everyone's like, I'm not sharing my magics, I'm not sharing my technology, you're like, fuck you and fuck you also.
Yeah. Well, and that's a big thing is that like when working on COG, I became very interested in the idea that like if airships allowed everyone to live where they wanted to, right? And wars allowed devastation and further segmenting of kingdoms, then people would be free to fall apart as much as they wanted to. So that people don't live geographically close enough to develop. That's the idea, is that airships allow them to get around as much as they want to. But as you can, if you listen to how much the airships cost, airships allow for supplies and commerce and capitalism to thrive. They don't allow people to move where they want.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Like, if cities didn't have buses, like I live in a city where the bus doesn't take you nearly as many places as you should be able to go.
Yeah.
And it definitely has an effect on people's lives.
Mm-hmm.
Is basically like a series of islands.
Yes.
Each city is a
So
giant island.
that's kind of the secret design philosophy behind COG. COG is based off of South Bend's design system or transport system.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Because if you live on a bus line, then you can kind of thrive. And if you don't, you're fucked in my city.
Yeah.
And that's the design system of COG. That's how I laid out COG. If you live on if you can afford an airship, you get to kind of have an entirely different life than if you can't afford an airship.
Mm-hmm.
So like in the recent episode, I talk about how people, it seems like they've saved up for months to get on an airship. And what I'm hinting at is the fact that people have saved up for months to take a trip to rebuild their entire life. And right next to them are a group of adventurers who do this shit all the time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They're in the wrong gig. That's why.
That's right, Frankie. Fuck them.
Fuck
You
'em.
just don't have the skills necessary.
That's
Yeah.
the privilege showing.
Yes, it is. That's the idea. It's like, because Frankie could afford to stumble upon some guy who slings guns for a living.
Yeah.
He gets
It's a very-
yeah,
I didn't hide keys under
he gets
doormats
to
for-
he gets to afford to invent new kinds of food. But yeah, COG was the current version of COG is designed on my shitty city's version of transportation.
I'd like you to design a new world based off of my city's shitty transportation because it's nothing. You don't have public transit in St. Louis.
Well,
and the
that's
public
yeah.
transit you do have, you get stabbed on.
Yeah, and that's the idea. There are other the travel city of Cosnick is kind of like that, because if you live in the upper city, it's amazing. If you live in the lower city, you can't even afford to go upstairs.
Wow. Yeah.
And that's in an upcoming episode. You'll hear about that.
Mm-hmm.
If you go to the lower city, you literally can't afford to go back up. Like it's not. I maybe I'm too subtle with it, but like I'm trying to show how fat. Like I come from I grew up poor. I grew up in really. Frankie and I grew up in really bad situations. And it's really easy to have one bad day and then suddenly not be able to pull yourself back out of a bad situation.
Yeah.
So I put that in COG. I don't put it in my other worlds, but it's in there in COG. And I try to demonstrate that through weird things like I can't afford to take a steam lift. I can't afford to get on an airship. Like it takes one bad turn. And that's in an upcoming episode where like if you go into the lower city of Cosnick, it's black and white. Cosnick upstairs is beautiful and awesome. People have a great time. You go downstairs and you'll see it's an entirely different city.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah.
I won't comment on it until after that episode.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
I'll have some comments.
Yeah. Maybe we'll get back together.
Yeah, we can talk about that later.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll get. Sorry, we kind of got distracted. So Lexter's reveal as the creator of the Forged. How did each of you feel about this? Like, how much did you? Here's one thing I really want to know about this. How much before we get into that? How much did you suspect him of anything? You versus your characters. Like, we'll start with Callie. Like, what was your initial impression of Lexter versus, like, you versus Nova? Like, what did Callie think of Lexter?
I'm trying to think.
And how did that develop as you experienced more and more of Lexter?
He seemed harmless enough, sort of, at first, and then the more we were acting with him in the beginning, the more questionable he became. Like, questionable what his motives were, why exactly was he helping us, and especially once he's wanted us to, do him a favor later, like, what is this gonna be? And then just for the meta aspect of like us having to roll, perception or insights against him, was like, okay, this guy, there's something to him, definitely.
That's some bullshit.
Yep.
Yeah. Nova, on the other hand, like, she also was a little questioning of him too, just because, again, she's just skeptical of pretty much everyone off the bat for the most part. But she's not quite insightful enough to realize some of those things, though.
Yeah.
But she definitely wasn't 100% with them.
Yeah. What about Reggie?
So Luca, as always.
And yes, Reggie, by the way. Reggie texted me a question, and I don't feel like typing it back up.
Okay. Luca, as always, is just completely oblivious. Like, he's trusting. Like, you're hiring me for a job. I'm going to do the job. You're going to pay me. Everything is going to be just fine. He wasn't looking too into him. The only thing that gave Luca pause was his brand of magic being very strange and him not understanding exactly what it was, and stuff. So they gave him pause, but he didn't think too much into it. That's not his strong, Me, however, I had a feeling right away when he was doing magic that I didn't recognize and that my character wouldn't recognize. And on a world where, like, magic is not everywhere, everybody doesn't do it. We're getting trained with I am wearing my armband from being in the flats and stuff to control my magic and all these things. So the fact that this guy is doing a type of magic that, is ridiculous. I had a feeling he was an architect of some type from the war. And that the reason I was able to come to that conclusion was because, again, my funky days, being in the Furious Funks, we had met a mage who basically assembled a golem like it was nothing, had a golem that was waiting and, like, functionless. And then we got in the conversation, things got heated, and the golem attacked us. And I wasn't a forged then, but if I had been playing a forged, I would have been very upset because the similarities between that golem and the forged were a little scary. So as a player, meeting this guy who's using magic I don't recognize, I immediately was like, he's got to be a high up from the war. And that guy had kind of said that he was fleeing or trying to get somewhere or do something. So I thought they might, all those mages who got away after the war, be active again. So I thought, this dude Lexter, he's definitely a mage from back then.
Do I remember correctly that you were hunting him for Dorminir?
Yeah.
Well, did we? I don't think we knew for sure.
You didn't know,
but we were like 90% on that.
He told us straight out. Do you know who your employer is?
Yeah.
Well, he said that. Yeah, I guess he did it. Sorry.
Yeah, Saru was like, my employer is a bag of gold.
No, not that.
Yeah.
That was our employer.
Yeah.
Oh, it was Saruta still.
Yeah. That was literally the first thing we did.
I have to say, after the last game we played, and you guys were talking about how fun Savage Worlds was, I've been kind of missing Savage Worlds a little bit.
Yeah. Good shit.
Because that was when we were playing in Savage Worlds.
Mm-hmm.
I missed some of the mechanics of that game.
It's a decent system. If you can survive, you become very strong.
Yeah.
Savage Worlds.
Who did I scare with my bark the other day?
Lynn.
Lynn.
Oh yeah. Do you ever not trust NPCs because it's me though, Reggie?
Only if they remind me even a little bit of Professor Lambert. I just immediately turned off. Like,
There's an old NPC from Menroth.
he used us so bad. We thought we were doing the right thing for so long, and then we stumbled and said something wrong in a conversation, and it was like, you know too much. Snapped his fingers, teleported our entire group away, and we could never get close enough again to take care of him. And he was the father of one of our characters.
Yeah, I used to have a habit of
Wow.
Frankie would just give me NPCs. He'd be like, "Hey, my dad's a bad guy, so just do with him what you want." Hey, my mom is a hag and she eats babies, dude. I don't care what you do with that. Or like,
I don't think that's one real. That one's real, but I'm not rolling it out.
it's not.
Might be. You're right.
It's just wishful thinking. Just wishful thinking.
I've never been betrayed by a DM like that before that day.
Broke his
Frankie
trust.
was like, "My dad's an evil headmaster of a magic school. Just do what you want with it."
He's an expat.
I love that sort of stuff. Actually, this is spoilers for the Challengers campaign that we're playing on. But
Johnny says, "I never trusted Pedro NPC. That's fucked up. You don't love Tompkins?"
Tompkins is the best.
Haversack?
Professor Landford data. Yeah, but sorry, you were saying challengers?
Yeah. So I also like to do what Frank likes to do. I like to throw in NPCs. So in the challengers, I have a twin sister who is a bad guy that I threw in.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, use this. I don't know if it'll show up or not, but
Yeah.
that's part of my backstory.
What about Frank? Where are you at with it? Like, where were you at with Lexter?
Okay, so I thought Lexter was a cool dude at first. Frank did, at least. Saban walked in. Dude had too much money. Already can't be trusted.
When did he show money?
He has a badass. He's got a lot of books, man. That's a sign of wealth.
I'm not dealing with
Do
it.
they have a printing press on Kong?
Frankie, he can read. I don't
No. He has a book. That's a lot.
Words mean letters, and I don't trust that many letters.
If you don't have a printing, does the Cog have a printing press, Peter?
Yeah.
Why?
Do they just have a printing press?
I guess depends on the mage, man. I
Assume that, like,
I'm
they didn't
prepared
have
for a lot of questions when it comes to World Talkers, but I guess
books had to be copied by hand. So when he had a whole bunch of books, Saban was like, "Holy fuck, this dude's loaded."
I think
Man.
the technological
of all the
advances
things that magic could be used for, I suppose transcription could be one of
there
them.
are literally spells for it. Like
That's
they
never been a
already
thing.
exist.
Any D game
I
that I
know,
can
but-
think of. Like, people always have books. We went to, like, in Reliance.
Poor people don't have books in
libraries.
the court district. How many
When
books does
did
he
that
have?
get established?
Just because you don't have books.
No.
Who decided this?
You got an entire living room full of fucking leather couches,
Mahogany.
Yeah, but no books.
mahogany and shit.
Mahogany and leather will cost more than, having a room full of
Yeah.
books.
You don't know that.
Yeah, but he stole it, so it's fine.
You can grow cows, you can't grow books.
You
So
can grow
you can-
trees.
You can replace a couch.
You can
but
grow
can't replace a dog.
trees.
Or you can replace a dog, but you can't replace a
I
couch.
can't. They're from the same material.
Shannon, where you at on Lexter? Moving on.
I'm
No,
too
hey.
busy with Frank's nonsense.
No, I really didn't trust Lexer.
If
But I
life
called-
is precious, Frankie's assuming you can't grow people in this chain of events.
I would say you can raise a cow.
There's a finite number of people, Shannon.
That's just forged. That's just.
I've never seen someone pregnant with a book.
You never seen someone what?
Pregnant with a book. Oh shit! I think this is gonna be a bestseller. The most scientific-
So are books on pregnancy just like absolutely like fucking artifacts, Frankie?
Immaculate books, you mean? No, no, I really didn't. Saban really didn't trust Lexer when
When he
It
read?
doesn't know how to read.
When he read.
That's a great. That's it.
No, he really didn't. He really didn't trust Lexter once. Lexter
Well, look at
fucked
this
up
5th grade reading level motherfucker. Starts fucking reloading.
Oh shit. Oh, that's good.
Yeah, Data's like a book with no author. Immaculate Conception.
I do know what moment Frankie is talking about, though.
when when Lexter's voice changed, and I was like, "Hey, why'd your voice?" Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
This dude's fucking Yosho from Tenchi Muyo. He's been hiding the entire time as an old man.
Oh yeah.
Remember? Yeah,
I,
Old reference.
I,
Right.
I just couldn't. I didn't know where we were going with this. I was all of a sudden just like,
Books.
it's like you're referencing
Yeah.
the time that like Grandpa gave me my first cup of coffee. I'm like, I remember it. I didn't relevancy, Your Honor. Like, it's a very important memory to me. I just didn't know where that came out of.
Yeah. No, I'm serious. Like, I think this dude's masquerading as an old man. I bet he's like de-aged himself. I bet he's aged himself up.
Yeah, Frank. That was something that a couple of the players had really latched on. Was there's a moment where he stops talking like an old man, and I think the players were trying to figure out whether or not I was faking his voice the whole time or if I had screwed up.
Oh, I think that was that in the outtake or was it in the episode?
It was in the episode. There was one point where they were trying to figure out if I had screwed up or not.
Well, then we asked him, and he said, like, "Nah, I'm an old man." So I mean, that's just whether you believe him or not.
Right.
I
It
don't
was
believe
addressed.
I like
old,
the idea of
but old.
he's making himself seem older as to, be less of a threat sort of thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Exactly.
what did this mean in particular to the Forge to finally, like, not a lot of people get to say that they met their creator. Like, I mean, Haversack can say it. He believes he met his creator and he seems pretty cool about it. He's like, yeah, that's Cagliostro. He's totally like, he set me free. Like, you could totally talk to Haversack for a while about it. But he totally believes he met a god and they're on pretty good terms. He got a cat out of it. But like, what does that mean to the Forged?
Sorry, someone commented in their 1, 2 toast 3 said a lot of people know their parents.
Man, I don't know. If your parents call themselves your creators versus like they birthed you, you guys have a different relationship with your parents than I did.
They are much more powerful than my parents.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Want to go first?
It's like my dad didn't call me anything. He said he was dad. He didn't say the creator. And then he was like, talk to the Forged. Find out if she's prepared for you a meal suitable for both you and I. Like,
I suffer as you
now
suffer.
I want to find out someone calls their mom the Forged. The anvil and the forge require your presence in the kitchen.
I said I told a member today at the credit union that moms are the first landlords.
Strike true, anvil.
It's so stupid. I am calling. It's the holiday season.
Heavy is the fall in this bedroom.
When we get together for Christmas dinner, I'm calling my parents the creators.
Yes.
It's going down now.
Hello, creators.
Revisionist history.
When the first star falleth, you shall know your firstborn. Sorry.
What was the topic? What are we talking about right now? I don't
We're talking about the Allfather, Shannon.
know.
This
he
is my
asked how
favorite. This is my favorite world talkers.
their creator, Lexter.
We're talking about how Frank doesn't know how to read
Oh, yeah.
and about how parents.
No, Sabin doesn't.
David, yeah.
I know Frankie knows how to read.
Frank just doesn't trust reading.
Yeah.
That NPC can read. Kill
No.
him.
Frankie doesn't
no.
know. Frankie doesn't trust displayed wealth, which is why when he comes over, he starts attacking my bookshelf. That's why I throw a dragon quilt over it.
That bookshelf fucking verbs at me. I'm
Sorry, that's
fucking
an
starting
inside joke.
Wait,
What
what?
did you say?
I said that's Frankie doesn't trust my bookshelf, which is why I throw a dragon quilt over it. I have a friend who he wants me to help dampen the sound in my room, so he keeps telling me you should do something cool, get a fucking blanket, man, with a dragon on it, throw a dragon quilt, throw it over your door so there's no sound coming out from the rest of the house. I'm like, do I look like a man who wants to put a fucking dragon quilt over my fucking room? I don't put any logos on my body or my room, or I don't have any posters, or I'm the most boring person. I don't put a fucking dragon quilt up. I don't put a fucking howling moon on my van while I'm at it.
Holy shit! I should get that as a bumper sticker.
A howling moon.
Yeah.
Please don't.
Hi.
It's your brother.
I'm gonna have to move so he can't find me. I don't want a fucking van like that in front of my house.
Good 3 years too late.
So yeah, what did this mean to the Forge? Topics.
Yeah, sorry.
It's all right.
It is real heavy for Nova. This is one thing she has been. This is something that's been on her mind since literally she's been freed. She has been constantly questioning their creation, what's their purpose, all these things. And so to meet him, the person that enslaved and freed them both, was just really heavy. And I'm still personally working out how she feels about it, and I think she's still working out how she feels about it too, which is why she didn't really have any super hardcore reaction to him. I know Luca almost attacked him at first, and her is just very hesitant, not really sure how to go forward with this.
Well, it's something that came up in the episode is that when the Forged were freed, they kind of made this pilgrimage from the ruins of Kadim, from the flats all the way to Fallis. They marched and they didn't stop until they found Fallis, but Nova didn't go with them.
No.
She went on her own journey.
Yeah.
Johnny's fucking with me. Johnny knows about the egg cartons. But she went on her own kind of pilgrimage. And I think it's also kind of in the recent episodes, both in World Walkers and here, I think it's kind of, it's never officially stated, but it's slowly been revealed, kind of almost secondhand, or however you want to say it, that something that's very powerful, I feel, about the Forged is that the Forged name themselves. Forged are never given a name. The Forged give themselves a name. It's never explicitly stated, but it's been implied over and over again. And finally, if you put all the pieces together, Tin explains in the most recent episode that she gave herself her name. And if you kind of read into everything that's inferred, it's finally revealed that no one gives the Forged their name. The Forged are the only race that I'm aware of in the World Walkers universe that give themselves their names, that when they were free, they named themselves, which means Lexter never bothered naming anyone. He created them, but they were just soldiers.
Right.
That's pretty heavy.
They're war machines.
Yeah.
I do have a question though, and I gotta ask Reggie, and I gotta ask you, Callie, as the two Forge here. When Sabin eventually has to go kill Tin, and I guess for her final day, her obituary, is that going to be appropriating her, taking her agency away, or
Taking what?
her agency away? Forge named themselves, right? So I'm gonna choose her grave.
I mean, if we're talking about following the creed, she gave up her name the moment she didn't follow it. I said it. Yeah, I said it.
Yeah,
Like that sometimes.
I do.
See,
my name's Tim. You ain't broken.
Well, the chat's already lighting up at this too, because for instance, 12Toast3 mentions Tim naming herself makes her earlier comment in a podcast, Tin hates puns, even more interesting, even better. So is it a joke? Is it can you get into a psychological discussion about that? Like if Tin
It'd be
hates
so
puns and she
Like,
gave herself
yeah.
a pun, is that like we could make it a funny joke, but is there something deeper to that? And then Data hit on something that I've always wanted someone to notice, and Data got it, so I'm really excited. Sanctuary is the only one to get. Hold on. Data says the exception is Sanctuary. Sanctuary did not give himself his own name.
Yes, he did. He wasn't called Sanctuary when they made. It should be in that episode where we talked about that. Lexer talks about it.
I think so, yeah.
Hold on, wait. I might have jumped the gun on this. Data, what are you saying? You're saying that Sanctuary did not give himself a name?
I think that's what he was saying. But
Yeah, I'm gonna wait for Data to get back on that.
No problem.
I thought he was talking about something else, and I got super excited about something, and I shouldn't have said it too fast.
Oops.
Oh, yeah. I want to see maybe but Data's almost always right, so he might know something already. Dude,
1, 2, Toast 3 said, I thought Lexter named Sanctuary.
is that what I said in the podcast?
I don't think so. I don't
It
remember
wasn't-
that.
When they talked about what he could do and stuff, it wasn't anything to do with being safe. It was destructive was what he was going
Yeah,
to do.
I got the impression that he named himself that because that's what he kind of wanted to be.
Yeah.
After, even though he's like the most powerful forged.
Yeah. That's part of like him being.
I'll have to
pacifist
re-listen
and
to it.
everything.
Hope I didn't.
I hope something didn't make it on into the cutting room floor on accident.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. That wasn't my impression, but maybe some people just
Yeah.
got that impression. Then
Dun, 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 dun.
maybe it was just a little.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
As,
Data and yeah, now they're looking it up. I think that Lexter knew right away what his name was going to be, but I don't remember if Lexter named him. I hope not. We'll find out. Yeah, and then Luca initially almost goes on the assault and almost just loses it. Was that Luca's rage or was that Carmack's rage?
It is a combination of his War Machine version, the darker side of him, and that karmatic magic.
Man.
I always tried to push with Luca that dark side of him. It's what they built him to be. It's a war machine, you know what I mean? This thing without feeling who carries out tasks. We get into combat, he carries out the task. He makes sure that we win, they lose, whatever the means. Even that's why the shadows dragging people to the equivalent of hell doesn't bother him while he's in that mode. But Luca, that's not something you guys could ever see regular old Luca doing and being comfortable with. He has to go into that mode to cope with or deal with and carry out that darker side. That's the first time in stream that I've had the darkness pushed forward.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It wasn't has to draw on it in order to fight. It was the darkness came right out and tried to do something without his.
It took
Try to help him out. Try to help him out.
I can also. Oh, go on. No, you're good. Go.
I was just gonna say the only reason Lexter isn't dead on the floor, or at the very least, combat didn't start right then, is that Luca reined in his darkness. The darkness very much so wanted blood, and it is a combination of him being built for war and him having to tap into that to use his karmatic ability.
I can also chime in a little bit on this because I played a forge in the Furious Funk era named Gimmel, who ran into a mage from Carmack.
Carmack? You mean Kadim?
The flats.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
I guess I did run into a mage in Carmack too.
Shut your mouth. Be ever so quiet, never so still.
I got Shang Tsung'd. But no, Gimmel Gimel got locked up on some trumped up charges that I won't get into here. And, it was a whole wicker basket of bullshit, and they don't look at me like that, man. I fucking feel you. I can feel your emotion, and basically, I was in hero jail, and
The cellar.
The cellar?
You were in the cellar.
I was in the cellar. Yeah, that's where they put the heroes.
I
I was in the bottom of the cellar.
You weren't
On
in
some
the bottom. You weren't even in the bottom yet.
I was there.
You
Trump
would have been there eventually.
when the murder weapon is his weapon named, and they found him covered in blood, but it's trumped up charges.
Listen, the
Cut
point of the
somebody
story
in
is
half.
that the only way I got out of there is because a mage came and put everyone to sleep and came down there and like looked at me all sad because like, is it true you killed someone? I was like, yes. And she was like, you were supposed to be a champion. And like, I got out of there and I was pissed afterwards. I was like, I'm supposed to be a fucking champion. Where were those orders from down high? I was pissed at her.
This is revisionist.
Well,
history.
if you also remember too, you asked her like,
I
well,
thought the winners got to rewrite history.
Gimmel's alive.
now.
No, you didn't win anything.
If your side loses, but like they scraped your body on the field and they didn't know you were alive, you're not one of the winners.
You're confusing winning with surviving.
Mm-hmm.
Like your own merit.
The game is called Left 4 Dead.
One, two. The champion thing. You are the one who is a paladin.
Who survived?
But I also just want to point out, like, you asked her something like, well, why'd you make us or something? And she asked you specifically, have you looked? And you went, nah. Like, she specifically asked you, have you, like, gone into this? Have you searched for the meaning? Have you? And you were like, nope. So
He was playing a paladin, by the way.
yeah.
Paladin, but so her reference to
Paladin
his
who-
fucking class. He was like, "How dare you classify me as a champion?"
No, I was saying,
Literally,
I feel like we should just take a break and just release these old episodes.
I mean,
Just to avoid the confusion.
I don't think that one was a recorded one, unfortunately.
am I?
I think I recorded all of them.
yeah. I think we only missed that last one.
No, we started like this part we started at. I thought was
I recorded them back when we
After-
had Dylan.
Did you really? No, we didn't record them.
Wait,
No, we didn't. No, we
No.
started recording after the shit went down in Cosmic. It was after that we started recording.
because that
It
was still at
yeah.
one place.
I wish.
Well,
we
anyway,
recorded
okay,
Cosmic.
yeah, okay. Well, I don't know.
All right.
but
Well, disregard me apparently because I didn't ask the right question to ask us to be a champion to the Good Burger or whatever her name is.
basically, to try to speed this along, Frankie used to play a forged paladin, and he actually ran into one of the high ups from Kadim, who was disappointed that the forged, who could have lived up to their potential, were doing things like slaughtering goblins in Cosmic and ending up in
What?
the cellar.
One,
Shut
just
up,
one.
shut up. And so she offered to help him if he was willing to live a better life in return for 1 year. He's like, all right, cool, I can do that. As soon as he got out, you motherfucker can't fucking do anything anymore. I can't fucking do anything.
I can't even.
I can't. I wish I could slaughter people.
I'm gonna start.
This is
cutting
so
people's
fucking
fingers
bullshit.
instead.
I have to do non-lethal. What a bunch of shit. What a bunch of absolute shit. Only rule he had was can't kill someone outright.
I
This is
love that.
bullshit.
I love that all that Pedro did was say, "You have to play to your class now." That's all.
Oh,
that
and
happened.
right after I did that, he's like, I'm not technically a paladin. I just have paladin-like powers. And in the end of the campaign, he kills a baby. So anyway, let's move on.
That's all real, guys. That's all.
I'm not
real.
fucking around. Let's try to get past question 3, okay?
Alright,
I'm the asshole.
yeah.
Yeah, you killed a fucking baby.
What?
That, yeah.
Pedro, Data Wall has gotten back to us.
Yes.
And he says he refers to him as Sanctuary. However, there is no statement one way or the
Right.
other. He had a name before, or it was taken.
Okay. Cool. Yeah.
You didn't mess up.
All right. God, that's so scary. Because that's what if I did mess up, I wouldn't go back and edit it though. Like, I don't believe in retconning.
New history, revisionist history.
Yeah. I don't believe in that. I'm not Frank. What? I'm a champion. I can't kill babies. So, so one thing, okay, so the revelation of the first gunslinger is something I definitely wanted to dig into. Colden Flinthammer, according to Lexter, is the first master. How credible is this to everyone? I think this is one of the most controversial things he says. Everything else you can kind of go with or believe, like him saying the gnomes. Sure, it checks. We've seen underground gnome doors that haven't been cracked yet. We know about the sky towers. You can see them if you travel the world of Cog. Himself as the creator, that pretty much checks. But the idea of Colden Flinthammer, this seemed to be one of the arguing points of that episode. So, according to him, a dwarven gunslinger was the first master. So how credible is this to everyone, and what does this mean to Sabin, first off?
Look, it's probably true. I don't want to admit it, but it does check out that, like, we can't
and
have,
yeah,
like,
to the chat, anyone in the chat, I want to hear what you guys think too. Because Data already says he needs to hear it come from the mouth of a master.
Yeah,
He's not going to trust a mage.
That's what I need to hear. I need to hear I need Esam to speak some words in my ear about truth.
Will you bring it up to Esam? Will Sabin bring it up to Esam, or is like does it worry him to bring it up to Esam, or is he kind of like,
oh, Esam scares the shit out of him, but he's going to do it.
Yeah.
Can I ask Sabin why you don't want to believe that it was a dwarf? Like, is it
because the story's way cooler?
Because which story?
Oh shit! No, the story's way cooler that we iced a motherfucker. Never mind. Yeah, no. Because I don't want to learn. I don't want to believe that I was lied to for fucking however long I was a paladin, gunslinger.
You were never a paladin.
All right.
But wait, maybe I'm remembering wrong. What's the lie? What's the lie?
The lie is that
the admission of truth, I think, is what Frankie's saying.
The admission of truth. Yeah, they don't ever talk about Colden. They act like Colden.
Just the fact that there was an even bigger. Okay.
Yeah.
Because that's what I was like. I don't remember an outright lie from the masters. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm on board now. I got where you're at.
I even thought there was a dwarven master. Like, I thought one of the masters was a dwarf.
Yeah, a little bit of confusion. Yeah. Well, that's interesting. What I think has been really interesting is that throughout my time running COG and talking about COG, there's been a lot of confusion about who Crosby is. Some people have thought that Crosby was a gnome the whole time. Some people have thought that he was a dwarf. Like, that's the one that seems the most confused. But what's up?
Oh, sorry.
No.
Sorry, I thought you were pausing, and I was going to bring up a question from the chat. 12Toast3 said, "There's no way there wasn't a gnome with a gun first, right?"
Currently, not in our timeline.
I mean, they could have came up with the technology and then gave it to the dwarves, or gave it. That dwarf could have been involved. We'll have to dive into speculation at that point.
Well, no, that history's been revealed throughout the games, and I can actually. There's been a lot of confusion about this, but like since it's revealed throughout the podcasts somewhere, I can just lay it out right now. The gist is this: the gnomes, kind of discovered the secrets of gunpowder and firearms. They invented it. And when they had the pieces, they kind of created a council, and they said, let's divide this up amongst our greatest minds. And they sat down and said, let's take a certain time period and let's develop, where do we see this technology? Where do we see these innovations leading us? Let's reconvene in a week and let our greatest minds develop where this would take COG in the future. When they came back, they were so horrified with everything they had developed that they decided never to let this come to bear. But they could never bring themselves to truly destroy innovation. So they took the formulas and the inventions and separated them and scattered them. They trusted different peoples with it. And eventually the secrets were gathered, and they yeah, so basically those secrets were gathered, and we played in this camp. This is the first time COG had ever been played in. I had a group. Their job was to stop the formation of the formula, and they failed. And an organization called the House. There used to be these roaming merchant houses that traveled across COG. There was 3 different merchant houses, and the house that succeeded in gathering them was the Merchant House of Hollum. Merchant House of Hollum had succeeded in gathering the formula, all right? And the father, basically, the Merchant House of Hollum had gathered the formula. I think all of it except for like a piece. I can't. I'd have to check my notes. I'm very cautious about giving out the wrong information. I think that storytellers, creators, maybe just GMs, but I think storytellers in general, they want to tell the whole story, even if they're not sure if it's right. So I'm very cautious in getting something wrong. I think they didn't have the entire formula, or they did. I don't think they had enough to do it all. What's up?
I know for sure they didn't have it all when that group set out.
Right. They
did not help the situation at all.
Right.
We tried that. They ended up with it all.
Yeah. I think they were missing. They were missing something that was sealed away. And the daughter of the head of Hollum begged her father not to do it. And
Mary Tompkins and revenge.
That night, she and her husband, Tompkins, left the world of COG because they couldn't stand to see what would happen if it came to fruition.
You're amazing. I fucking love you. I love it.
A vital piece of it never came to, was missing, and for hundreds of years it was never brought together. But then Dorminir had the missing piece, and they got it from the House of Hollum, which by then was the merchant city of Hollum. The merchant house of Hollum had eliminated the rest of the houses and become its own metropolis. And Dorminir got it. And according to Lexter, they had a dwarf that created understood the formula, perfected it, started crafting weapons, and then taught it to 5 students.
I'm not crazy. Nathan's character is the last surviving, as far as anyone knows, member of that house, right?
He's not the last. He's just from. He's from the merchant city of Harlem, but he's from the Moonbrook market.
Moonbrook, that's what I was thinking of. Yeah.
He's from a
You're right.
division of that city. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. You're right. I remember that.
Data Wall in the chat also asked, this was going back to the Crosby discussion. Does that mean Crosby has never had a student? Since there's a lot of discussion about.
No, listeners are confused. Players are confused. Nobody in the world is confused. Only nobody ever picks Crosby. But something else is that I believe it was Connor, which is Brian from the Underfold. He had uncovered the fact that I think he was one that uncovered the fact that Crosby's guns, he believes that the weapons that Crosby uses are actually flints or Colbins.
Mm-hmm.
He thinks that either Colbin has or he thinks that either Crosby has Colbin's weapons, or that if Dorminier's lying and Lexter's lying, that they're using Crosby's weapons as the lie. You know what I'm saying? Like they're building, Lexter and Dorminier are using Colbin's weapons to build the lie. Because Crosby's weapons can change on the fly. They're like... what, Frankie?
I picked the wrong master.
Yeah, they like shift and can change. Like he can rebuild them on the fly into different weapons.
Damn.
Another thing I had a question about. So in the episode, you say that it's a halfling, and for humans, I thought one of the masters was a doppelganger.
One of them is a doppelganger.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But it only works if you know that one of them's a doppelganger.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the doppelganger would very much like it if you don't know that they're a doppelganger.
Right.
Yeah.
As usual.
Yeah. Which is one of the harder parts, because I kind of I don't want to cause any confusion, but I also want to stay true to I do that a lot, where like I try to remember what the NPCs would know versus what is the truth. So it's,
somebody could be a doppelganger.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's see. The big question I'm going to ask to the group is, does this do anything to the Gunslinger's creed? Like, is the creed's if the creed's foundation is built off of a lie, does the creed need to be rewritten, or is the creed greater than its origin? So basically this comes back to way back in World Walker season 2. I blame Claiborne for this, because Claiborne does not believe in the creed. She doesn't believe in the Gunslinger's creed. And Claiborne makes apparently such a compelling argument for how shitty the creed is that I feel like a lot of listeners are like, well, I mean, clearly the creed has some problems. Like, people have adopted Claiborne's problem with the creed, but I personally actually really enjoy the creed, so I feel like Claiborne fucked it up for me, because like I thought the Gunslinger's creed was pretty rock solid.
I think it doesn't help that, especially now, like both gunslingers are kind of like, F this creed.
Yeah. Tin's abandoned it. But that's what's funny about it, right? Tin has abandoned it. Ertleby's abandoned it. But they're both, but Tin's teaching it to Brummelstone. So I'm really interested to find out.
I feel like it's very interesting though, because we're redoing last.
I know I don't want to get too far into it, but like, I don't know if she's going to teach Brummelstone the creed or just the base attack bonus.
I feel like Tin believes in it still, though. She just doesn't want to kill her friend.
No. Wait, you're a gunslinger. You go first.
Yeah,
okay.
Gonna have the cornflakes without the milk, I guess, but sure.
we live together. We talk about this.
Oh,
So,
do you?
Yeah. Yes,
The-
absolutely. Are
The
you
only
kidding me?
thing that Tin is teaching Brummelstone is how to die faster. I'm sorry. I like Wes a lot,
Ooh.
but I don't want to see that dude holding a gun. He better lie to me. He better lie to me and do it well. He better crit that shit.
I
Crit that shit.
I want to bring this up. 1-2 Toast 3 says you didn't design that flaw into it. It was supposed to be an intentional mirror for Kadim. I mean, I did obviously build that in there a little bit. Like, there is that, like, I did build a little bit of hypocrisy into it. Like, I wanted to build a conflict into it, though, is the difference. I wanted to build some conflict into it, but I don't think I'm trying to build a flaw into it. I want there to, because, you know, like, kind of like, I guess, like, if you believe that the Jedi code is fucked, then I guess you would believe that the Gunslinger's Creed is fucked. I don't think that the Jedi are inherently broken. I believe that, like, episodes 1, 2, and 3 are broken, but that shit's not real. But what I'm trying to say is that, like, 'cause that they've added a whole bunch of bullshit to that. But, like, I don't think that the creed is inherently broken or flawed. I think there's some conflict in there. But I do think that, like, if you accept the responsibility of taking on the creed and the difference between a spell and a gun and a firearm is that anybody can take up this weapon and by pulling a trigger can end someone's life without any sort of study or work or anything. They can just pick it up and go, there is no more you, because I chose to pick this up and point it at something that you need to live. A spell requires apprenticeship and a whole host of talent and skill and dedication. And that's what scared Eleanor. It's what scared Tompkins. It's what scared the gnomes. And it's what doesn't scare anybody that wants to pick it up and give it a shot. Because it takes somebody else a lifetime of dedication to learn how to craft the weapon and to craft the gunpowder and everything else. And it only takes you 5 seconds to point it at somebody and take a life. That's why it's different than spells and everything else. So you're not a lot, and that's why the gunslingers say, like, no. We are going to dedicate our lives to making sure that this item is rare, it's spoken for, and you cannot walk this path without dedicating yourself to the way that we dedicate ourselves to. So to me, that's why it's that's why it's different. And also, like, I've never really said it out loud, but, like, gunpowder in this world is a different formula than gunpowder in real life. I think gunpowder, I don't know if I'm wrong on this, gunpowder is pretty easy to make, I think, if you know, like, the basics.
Once you know the basics, yeah, it's pretty easy.
Yeah, it's not the same. If you like, that's why, like, if somebody just came to me in a game and said, like, hey, I know the recipe. No, you don't. It's just different. It's just a little different. Like, yeah. So
I hope you don't mind me doing this, because
No.
I have always understood the creed. I love the creed. I have never played one of your gunslingers yet, but this is also my first time playing a forged. But there's so many great things that you always introduce that it takes me so long to play each one of them. if I play well and my characters are staying alive. So as far as the gunslinger goes, for anybody who's an anime character or anime lover, or that style of movie that caters to the same tropes that animes do, gunslingers are very much so the samurai, the person. You don't fucking draw your sword unless
You
it's
plan
to draw.
Mm-hmm.
Like
that's
blade is
Isam.
not to be exposed except for a specific fucking reason in either your life or something involving your creed, your understanding of this weapon. Because the weapon in your hands is not the same as a weapon in everybody else's hands. You know what I'm saying? Everybody in the show Rurouni Kenshin, like picking up his sword, they're not fucking dangerous, but in his hands, it is a weapon of fucking mass destruction. It is this thing that becomes this out of control element.
Yeah.
If everybody could pick it up and use it properly. And so there's a certain amount of respect, a certain amount of discipline, a certain amount of a lot of things that has to go into accepting the responsibility of picking up this weapon properly before I teach you how to use it.
Yeah.
Because anybody can pick up a gun and yes, become a terror, but they're not going to be the terror that a gunslinger is.
Yeah.
Like, somebody's going to kill them. Somebody's going to throw a spell at them and kill them. They're going to do a lot of damage, but somebody's going to throw a spell or shoot a gun and end it very fast. But a gunslinger within their hands, they understand how dangerous the skill is, how dangerous they've coped. They understand this thing hanging on their side or on their back or wherever it hangs is an extension of self. And you have a responsibility to yourself and to the world around you to not be a fucking dick.
Well,
Sorry,
I think it's
that,
no, yeah, that's legit because that's what it is. That gunslinger, like the gunslinger creed's a combination of the old samurai anime trope. Because it's a combination of like Kenshin and Trigun, and the very real life idea of gun control, not gun control, but like gun safety, where like you don't pick up a gun unless you intend, like to, yeah.
I do really like I'm listening I had started listening to the World Walkers Prime from the beginning, and both Tin and Ertleby were so hesitant. Like they kind of lived that life. They were like, I'm not going to use my gun until they knew that the nightmares were serious and like world ending. And I really like that they did that. And I feel like you kind of forget that because they're using it all the time now, but also they're always fighting nightmares and they know they need to.
Well, it's funny because like there are days where like it's funny. There are games where if Megan can't play, the World Walkers don't even bother playing. They're like, oh, Megan's not there? Let's not play today. They won't even go into a fight without her. So gunslingers must be pretty good.
Yeah.
They must have something going on for him. Like but yeah, like Isam's remaking, like he doesn't believe, like he teaches his students, don't draw your weapon unless you plan on remaking the world in your image. That is a play on like Kenshin and Trigun.
Yeah.
Like yeah. I'm gonna check the chat real quick.
There was a question in the chat. 12toast3 had asked, so does future/present day /1985 Tompkins forget his problem with guns?
A little bit. I mean, like Tompkins, yeah, essentially he does in the sense that like it's a combination of he saw how much it bothered Eleanor. Do you know what I mean? So that's why they left, right? He didn't have the same kind of hardcore problems with it. First off, the second thing is that like, he is every day in the fight of his life, and he's constantly shit on by the World Walkers that he's not pulling his weight.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't. They gave him a shield. It was eaten in a swamp.
It was what?
To be fair, so was Ertleby's gun.
No. Yeah. So, but that's why he's like, when there's 4 guns laying around, he's like, okay, guys, put me in, coach. I'm ready to play. Like, he's like, give me something. Like, if you guys are gonna shit on me all the time, and we got like 4 guns laying around, I mean. Like I'm open. Like at this point, you know, it's kind of like like I don't really try to eat a lot of sugar, but my wife's not around.
If you're going to be
Give me a coffee.
Supporting
Like-
you, they need to be good
Yeah,
at what you do. You don't get to shit on them and not be good. Like
yeah.
that's just fact. I don't want to kill Tompkins. I love Tompkins.
Johnny says they just want to see what kind of new shit I'm going to put Megan through. That might be true. He says Data says maybe they really like Megan. They do really like Megan. Don't get me wrong, but they literally say no. We need her damage. So I'm gonna caution on the side of they really like her gun too. What else we got? Something else let's throw down here. So who started the Mages War? Lexter claims it was Dorminir. Anyone want to contest that?
Nah.
I believe it for the most part. I'm sure there was a little push on the other side a little bit, but
Who made us?
huh?
Kadim.
Kadim.
Yeah, I think they started it.
You think Kadim did?
Well, they didn't make us. Well, wait, because we were the last thing that they made, though.
Yeah, and it surprisingly enough, the war ended after a bomb that possibly might have been the body of a forge went to the summit and blew up the flats. That's what ended the war.
Yeah,
not
that
wrong.
was-
Correct.
No, yeah.
How
But that
else
doesn't mean-
for such a big bomb in this world? It had to be magical. It wouldn't be
Well,
new.
they had no. But the idea was that like they had help from people that came from Kadim, right? Like, wasn't that the idea?
Yeah,
Like, people
Lexter says
betrayed
that.
Kadim?
Yeah, so there have been two major explosions in Cog's history. The one that blew up the elves and the one that blew up Kadim. And Lexter says that they were both bombs from Kadim, but you know, one of those bombs was stolen from Kadim.
Hmm.
I
Like
I don't know,
he's
I
saying,
mean-
yeah, he's basically saying that like Dorminir started the war and they did it by having traitors from inside Kadim steal bombs. Like,
Because
Yeah.
who had access to doppelgangers?
that
Kadim.
would be Kadim.
Kadim,
But those doppelgangers went traitor and joined
Right.
Kadim.
right?
Sorry, you're right. So there were two factions of doppelgangers. But yes, it all leads back to who I'm saying did
right,
it.
right.
But yeah. That's where my at least belief is. It was definitely Dominator. Even how the fuck do you name your kingdom Dominator
Right. right.
and not
Dorminir.
think that,
We're a nice place.
right, we're a great place to live. But then how do you continue to be? It would be different if that place was actually a good place to be. It's a
Right.
scary freaking place.
They
to
have
be.
scheduled free speech days.
I can't even get into that. That's a
Is that new?
mess.
That's not new news, right? You know about that, right?
I think you mentioned it. Yeah.
Yeah, I know that Callie knows. I didn't know if Reggie knew.
Yeah, if you didn't say exactly that, you said something like that before.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I'll burn that city to the ground the first shit I get. All I need is levels. So all I need is
It's a
levels.
great place. It's a great place.
It's a great place.
It's a great
One,
place
two-
to raise a family.
1 2 Toast 3 says, I think one of the last surviving members of the losing side claiming that the winning side started the war means that the claim needs to be taken with a generous pinch of salt.
Well,
I don't know who this guy is, but I
is he,
like
well,
him.
is he saying though that is he really like the losing side if he's the one that yes, he's the one saying that he did it, but there's a lot of questions there, I feel like.
What about
There's a lot.
I don't want to cut off Shannon and Frank. Sorry, I
Yeah, go ahead, Shannon.
I hadn't said anything.
no, I know. As I was saying, I cut away before you guys got a chance to respond.
I got you. Yeah, I think Dorminir is super evil and all about starting a war. That's all I have to say about it.
That's fair.
Yeah, I'm on board.
Here, look, right here. That's where you live, in my heart, Shannon. You're in my heart now. Frank?
Yeah, no, Dorminier totally sounds like they're the kind of people that would wage war on the homeless, let alone start a war. Like the Kingdom of Magic, they didn't want to share their fucking treats.
Oh, I can dig it.
So, like, yeah, I totally think Dorminier started that shit. Like,
There's
Hey,
not a
their
lot
name-
of-
Dorminier, they have coupon day for fucking free speech day. Like, they probably have water rations, not because they're running low on water, but because it controls the people.
they have the city of
What was
Ford enslaved.
What was the known history of who started the Mages War? Like before Lexter had said it was Dorminier.
Oh, everyone knows it's Kadim. Is the like.
Okay, that's what I thought,
Yeah.
but I just wanted to check. And yeah,
And Lexter's saying, no, y'all don't even know.
Can I ask a question? I hope. Where's Haversack? How come he hasn't weighed in on anything tonight?
I don't know. He's tired.
That's fair. Turnabout is fair play.
No,
Turnabout is
actually,
fair-
it would like I could totally answer questions as Haversack, but a lot of them would be things like, "What's that about? What?
that's fair.
Like Kadim?
That's fair. You're.
I'd
you're
have heard
right.
of Kadim. Kadim, like is Kadim like a Is that like a fancy restaurant? Is that like a place I would go if I was hungry? Because I am actually really hungry. Are we gonna eat soon? Because I feel
And
like
hot dogs.
whenever we're gonna eat, then like Saban brings out something, but it's always like a piece of his furniture, or like he always has something to eat, but he never offers it ahead of time. Like he doesn't offer it like preempt. He always offers it like whenever I am hungry, but he doesn't
Waiting
offer
for
it
your-
when I could eat. Like, I don't know. I feel like he offers to feed me when I bother him. And maybe I'm always hungry because I'm starving instead of like,
Listen here, buddy. Like, it's not that he doesn't know you're hungry. It's that he knows you're hungry, and he thinks now would be a good time to feed you. You see what I'm saying there?
Nova, is that true?
How often do you feed your cat?
Whenever he's hungry. Oh, that means he loves me.
There it is, little buddy. There
Oh
it
my
is.
Saban,
I don't have
I just
I'm
want
just
to. I just want to apologize to you because I thought you hated me, and now I know you love me.
That's right, little buddy.
That's not your word.
Boy, I can.
You
use buddy.
stole that from Luca. Luca says little buddy. You need to find a new word.
You didn't steal that from me, buddy.
I ain't still nothing.
You stole
He
it
says
from
little
me.
buddy.
I said little buddy.
Find a new one.
See? He even said he says little buddy. That's two. That's 1 and 1 against 1.
I just pat Saruta on the head and squat down and get real close to Haversack. Hey, listen.
That hurts his knees when he does that.
you don't have
You're
to
so
worry about-
tiny. He might not ever get up again.
Oh, shh. Hush, little friend. Hush, little buddy. You don't have to worry about him. I'm here. I'll always protect you.
From what?
From himself. You know how hard it is for him to fight back all the stuff inside of him that wants to take his soul, which is going to happen.
He nods at first, and then he slowly starts shaking.
Look at the conflict. He doesn't even know what's going to happen next. He could go to sleep, and a whole new Luca could wake up.
Yeah,
One of
anyone
these
could
two
just-
forge is going to kill us, and we should be so lucky it be Luca.
That's
Luca
not
doesn't
exclusive.
sleep.
When
Look, I
when
wake-
Nova does it, it just means that we made her mad. Luca's trying, and he walks off. Anyway, so
I'm so glad Haversack made it here tonight. Thank you, Haversack.
1, 2, toast 3 asked, this is canon, right?
Never sold nothing in my life.
Absolutely.
Oh my god.
That's amazing.
Sorry, I don't.
That's good. That was amazing. That was the most fun.
Yeah, that was great.
Most fun.
For people, sorry, I have the audio from this, please.
Speaking of Haversack,
We should just always do world talkers in character.
Oh my god.
I love it.
I'm always kind of sad because like Callie and Peter and Reggie can do these voices and shit. And I can't. I'm just like
The voices were required, Frank.
You know what I was
I know
going to
voice-
tell you?
but
I isn't. Oh, okay.
Willow found something out recently.
what?
Willow found out that her plushie Sully is in World Walkers. She the voice she has a Monsters Inc. doll named Sully.
Sully, gotcha.
Yeah, and she found out that Sully's been in the podcast the whole time. I took the voice I used to do for Sully, and that's
Oh.
Paddington.
Oh,
Aw.
I didn't
Yeah.
I didn't catch that. That's cool.
You wouldn't know, yeah, but like it's like I said, did you know that I'm in a podcast called World Talkers? And the first thing I ever asked for was a cup of mead with some honey in it. And she's like, I said, well, one day you're gonna find out that I'm in a podcast and I'm actually moved to a live stream. And she's like, I don't know what you're doing, Daddy. And I was like, it's okay. And then I explained, I went in a little bit further. I let her hear I let her hear it in a live stream. She goes, oh, that's Sully. And I was like, it's also Paddington. And she's like, oh. So,
that is the reaction to Paddington. Yes.
yeah. 1, 2, toast 3. Like, she's not caught up on the podcast?
Okay.
That's good.
Get with the program, Willow.
Yeah. She hasn't heard Haversack yet.
Oh boy.
But, yeah.
So
Man.
I
Okay.
actually had a question about Haversack.
Yeah.
Was there any sort of moral quandary over having Haversack join the party when he's obviously okay with like flaying of adventures and other questionable actions? Or were you guys?
I
just like,
wanted to.
"Yep."
I feel like the best answer would come from Nathan. I really want to know Nathan's answer to that, but he couldn't make it
Yeah.
tonight. What about the rest of you guys?
We'll get a written explanation from him soon, or save the we'll answer the question with our
That
group.
question's in the notes, right? I'm gonna send it to him right now.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Nathan, here's the question because Nathan's answer is gonna be great.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, because just him and Darvin's response to Haversack.
Jesus Christ. And I really prefer it to be like this so that you can have Nathan's character responding to Haversack. No one is ready for that amount of comedy.
I don't know that he would role play it on like he would feel weird role playing it live
Probably.
like this.
He might feel weird.
He might. I don't know.
Be okay.
Get him a beer.
We'll check. Yeah,
List him up.
Get
List
him
him
a
up.
beer. He'll be all right.
Don't do
We'll be
that.
okay. And look, I'll cheers him every time he's ready. I'll cheers him.
I need to bring a beer next
That's
time.
that time. It says
Uh,
have a beer.
That's old. It's old. It's empty.
He didn't drink the beer that I gave him. That's rude. So ask the question again, and then we'll let Callie go first.
Oh, was there any sort of moral quandary over having Haversack join the party when he's obviously okay with like flaying adventures and other questionable deeds?
I mean, like for Nova, not particularly, because it's obvious like he's just ignorant, hasn't been. He's been uncivilized, and he's not stupid. Like he can eventually, I think, understand. Hey, this isn't okay, probably. But so I mean, not really. It's he means well for the most part. It's not like he's actively going and flaying people. It's just what he grew up with. It's what he dealt with, and so it's what he's used to, and so it doesn't bother him per se. But it doesn't mean he's doing it.
Yeah, I feel like that's the easiest one just for Nova to say. Like, Nova's
Yeah.
cool with it.
Yeah, I mean,
Good. Like,
yeah, she was the one that walked in, and she was just like, some skin, whatever.
goblin now.
It's just a goblin.
It's just an adventure. It's fine.
I don't
No,
expect.
no.
I just feel like Nova's answer is like, I don't expect much from him.
Pretty much. It's like, yeah, par for the course.
It's fine.
You're up.
No, Saban's cool with it because Saban's kind of an unscrupulous man himself. So like, if this dude's
Man
into
about
cannibal-
town.
man about town. If he's into some shady shit, I mean, like that's just he's a potential business partner. So like, look, if he likes to flay people, look, I'm just one halfling, all right?
Who am I to judge?
Who am I to judge? Okay, there's a lot of weird shit out there.
I got a copper fetish. I mean, who am I to judge?
Well, what?
Oh god.
What do I have?
How's that with the Statue of Liberty outtake that's in today's episode?
Oh, so good. I forgot about that. Oh my god.
I haven't listened to the episode yet.
Oh yeah, you talk about the Statue of Liberty. She's got feet. She's blind.
You're just a fucking nerd.
She's a symbol of peace, and she got feet.
Shit. I won't say anymore so people can hear it and enjoy it and all its fucking terribleness. I cut shit out of that part too.
I imagine you did.
We
Yeah.
have no choice. Have you met you?
Unfortunately,
Some things have to be cut out.
no.
It's not a spoil. It's an outtake, so it's just trust me, Dada. There's plenty of meat on that bone. It's an outtake. It's not a story thing. Don't worry.
I still need the whole episode of when we go explore the lust pit or whatever it was.
No,
What?
no,
That
No,
was so bad.
no.
That was
No.
so bad.
that is so people understand. Don't look. He called it a lust pit. That is from a video on YouTube that you can watch called The Gamers. Gamers 1,
Gamers 2. Yep.
2 is
Gamers 2 has the lust pit.
right, but it's called Gamers 2
Darkness Rising.
Darkness Rising.
Rising. If you want to understand a reference, that's not our fault. We're not going to go into his indiscretions, but you can figure out basically what he's talking about by watching those videos on YouTube. And they're actually decent. If you like D&D, they're a good time. The first one's good. The second one is even better. So
I still want it.
I like 1, 2, toes 3. They say Justice wears a blindfold because Justice is blind. Ask yourself if that makes sense. Boom.
I love him. I don't know who that is.
No, he's
but
what,
he is
dude. He's yeah. I'm always very whatever someone comes into the chat with. That's the name I use. I know everyone's like names, so like everyone seems to use like a version of a name. Like 1, 2, toes 3 is different here than well, cool. He said James. Yeah, it's James S. Miller. So yeah.
What's up, James?
What up?
I'm digging you.
Yeah,
Hey.
Yeah, you're great.
but
What was the I did have an answer.
How do you feel about bringing in a uncivilized goblin like Haversack?
well, no, like. Was there any moral quandary over him joining the party when he's obviously okay with flaying adventurers and is okay with questionable actions?
So here's the thing. You will only get this here. I haven't written it in my. I know people can see my D&D Beyond for Luca, but I didn't write it there. Oh,
it's a misconception. No one can see anyone's character sheets. I've never shared I
thought it was public. I thought everybody could see my character.
Oh, I think anyone can see your character if you give a link.
Yeah.
But nobody, I've never given anyone's links out. I'm actually going to recopy everyone's character sheets. In fact, since you guys are all here, I'm going to give the link to Saban's character sheet right now.
Give the link to my character, to Luca, too.
I can't because you guys are in the future.
Oh, you are absolutely right. I did forget that. Okay.
True.
Well, I'm going to tell something about Luca's character that in my D&D, even if you had my D&D Beyond notes and stuff, you wouldn't actually know. And I have a lot of stuff there. I have near a whole story about a character there. But the thing that I wanted to bring up, we were just talking about
the Haversack and the moral quandary of letting him join.
Because he's okay with flaying adventurers and other
So
questionable actions.
a lot of people they may not understand, or they may not fully cope with the fact that the only thing that Luca wanted to be was a paladin. He was a fighter. And then he joined this company of doppelgangers and forged. That was his group of people. They carried out a lot of missions together and were very happy together until they accepted a mission to go into Carmack. I can neither say or deny who sent us on this quest to go into Carmack, but he went, and he was like the lowest level person going in. Everybody fucking died. Everyone died other than him. And it's only because the fight was still happening and the love of his life fell down. She dropped not to negative HP, or she fell low enough to where she could still talk, and stuff. And she made him promise that he would run. And so he did. He tried to run. He tried to get out of Carmack, but she wanted him to leave her there. He wouldn't. So that's how he lost half of his body. That's why he's connected to two of the Brotherhoods. They repaired him. They made the other portions of his body, but he buried her outside of the shadow of Carmack. He couldn't leave her there because he was so sure she would come back as an undead. And that was too much, more than he could deal with. Being the weakest in the group, he couldn't save anyone else. He only saved what he could. That character, he lives by the Paladin Code in 5th edition. It's the Code of the Ancients. He lives by the Code of, there's a lot of darkness in the world. Then there's the very obvious darkness. There are undead, there are demons, there are those things. Everybody knows to kill those things, fight those things. He thinks the darkness of not being happy, of having a lot of things go wrong in your life, having, dealt with a lot of difficult things like people dying and stuff, that's real darkness. And not everybody's ready to deal with that. So he goes to every tavern in every town he can, and he tells stories, or he listens to stories, and he laughs with people. He goes out of his way to create the situation where people can be happy. He'll make bonfires for his group to sit and laugh and tell stories and stuff. He is all about the path of the ancients. Even though he's not that paladin path, that's the character that I built, lives by that path because he had a real growth that led him to it. So he's chosen, not in a sense that I picked the class when I made the character. So I can't even get into Paladin for 5th edition standards because I don't have a high enough strength. But he lives by their creed. So that's why somebody like him, understanding a creed, if he were ever able to understand a creed, he would adhere to it completely.
It's pretty legit.
Just wanted to give that.
That's pretty badass. Yeah, I posted Darvin and Sabin in there, and I want to share the other sheets when I get a chance. I got to copy them over.
Okay.
But that's pretty badass. I think everyone has really, really good backstories in this group, which is why I think that the characters are able to thrive so well in the podcast because they just have really rich backstories. And even if you don't mind me saying, Frankie, Sabin, your story doesn't have a lot of pages to it, but there's a lot of thought put into it.
And there's a lot of nicknames.
Yeah.
That too.
Yeah.
Information nickname.
The big question I want to ask before, we'll blow through some of these questions real quick and make sure we get to the Patreon questions. But the big question I want to ask, and I obviously we touch on it at the end of the episode, But the big question I want to ask to everyone, like Shannon included, is can Lexter be forgiven? And that you can answer it as your character or as yourself, but however you want to approach it. But yeah, obviously I'm gonna have fun and start with Callie first.
Obviously.
Yeah.
I think he can, especially with what he's trying to do now, so long as he's, actually trying to make up for his transgressions and everything. Again, Nova's just she's just in a very weird transition at the moment, just trying to figure out how she feels about things. So maybe for her, it's if he was just the creator of the Forged, it would probably be a no from her, even if he was trying to do something good. But because he did free everyone as well, there is that glimmer of hope, I think, possibility.
What about Frank?
Sorry.
Okay, I forgive you. See, it works like that.
No, I said sorry because I fuck out loud because I got my finger stuck in my laundry basket. It's right here. Oh, Jesus.
No one cares.
Oh. Look, Lecture's cool, man. I don't have the ties to. I don't have the actual ties, so can I forgive him? Yeah, of course I can. I'm just
like, what do I give a shit?
It's more like I don't have the. It's almost not my call. Like,
sure.
Can.
Well, I mean, but I'm just from a story. Like, I don't know. Like,
yeah, no. I know.
None of them are really forged, Frank. I mean, I'm just.
I know, but I'm saying that's Saban's answer.
Okay.
For me, yeah, absolutely. Everyone.
I think for me, no. Fuck them.
Mussolini-looking motherfucker.
Not looking motherfucker. Like,
no, seriously though. Like, I think so. I don't think he's done anything like super crazy. I mean, like, he hasn't committed genocide.
I mean,
like,
kind of in a way, murdered thousands.
If anything, he did the reverse rapture. He brought a whole race into this world.
That was
fine.
What I'm suggesting.
It's still kind of a genocide in a way. Okay.
I'm saying that Lecture's killing the Mage's War wasn't like killing a certain race of people.
So you mean it wasn't genocide? So we can't really be angry.
Genocide.
He wasn't specific with the people
motivated
he murdered.
by race. I'm saying
My God.
I won't have that conversation.
War is terrible.
Anything's forgivable.
1, 2, toast 3. In before the gnomes became the Forged.
Hasn't that actually been a joking theory before? I'm pretty sure.
I hope so. I've never heard it, but I'm all in now.
Someone say something before about the gnomes are just inside the Forge.
I love that idea.
What did you say?
In before the gnomes become the Forged.
Like the Forged are actually just gnomes. I feel like somebody actually.
I love
said
that
before.
idea.
I remember someone saying something about the Forged being.
I wish I had thought of that.
Machines for the gnomes.
I didn't know that I was going to be on screen with somebody who was like, I mean, fucking a whole race had to be exterminated. It happens.
I didn't say that. What?
No, he said it's not genocide because it wasn't specified on one race.
Right, it's not genocide.
Because genocide just means one race, I guess.
It was genocide.
It wasn't.
I like the idea that Frankie's basically on Twitch going the Holocaust took a lot of lives.
So can we really call it genocide?
It was World War One, World War Two. It wasn't I'm not gonna say it.
Listen, I'll explain it to you.
I had a great pun, and I'm not going there.
Oh no!
I will explain why what you did was what you did.
We'll do it later.
I had something to say, but I don't remember what the fuck it was.
It's great. I don't know. The question was. Was Jiggles going to be gone being planned, or was it spur of the moment? Let's just move on.
Oh, I deleted that.
Obviously, that's a different question.
Can I ask a question? Can Frank be forgiven?
That's a great question.
Panel?
Fuck Lex.
Let's move on.
Real.
He's a panel. Let's see what the panel says. Jesus.
Take a poll.
I don't know if you want to skip the rest of the questions because they're not necessarily about this episode. If we want to
let's come back. Yeah, let's come back to it. We'll see if we have time because if let's jump down to Patreon questions, and if we have time, we'll come back. Patreon questions. Do you want to ask? Get me to ask.
I'll ask.
Okay.
So Dadawal asked, will we ever find out how Nova escaped from Dorminier?
I imagine yes. I still have to work on that a little bit.
Well, I have a fun idea.
Okay.
World Walker's Cog has not had side adventures yet.
Ooh.
I'm
down
ready.
with this.
Whenever you're ready.
Yeah, I'm down with this.
The 2 side adventures I want to do, I would love to tell that backstory, and I still want to do the Brummelstone
Jiggles.
Bobo.
Let's see Jiggles stay out.
Oh, I'm so glad you said that. 'Cause that's
There
what I
are
want.
3 stories I want to do. Brummelstone Bobo,
Nice.
the backstory episode, and Jiggles Day Out. Then I forgot about that one.
Yes.
I'll volunteer to
Yes.
play the dog.
Yes, Shannon plays Jiggles. Do you have a dog impression you want to try out?
No, this is way too embarrassing. It's just a joke.
Is Jiggles Day Out where I find my fucking dog?
I don't know yet. I don't know if it's just like a hijinks episode where like Jiggles just runs around all day.
What Jiggles does while Sabin is out.
I still love Jiggles and Carmack.
It's like that Life of Pets movie.
Oh my gosh.
What?
Jiggles and Carmack, is that what you said, Pedro?
Yeah, that came up in one of the outtakes. Jiggles and Carmack.
Forgot
Like-
about
Please, that precious baby there.
Oh, now you like him.
Unless he's going to fix the city. I love him when he's not involved with you.
We had like one scene together where we kissed.
We had one scene together and it was too much.
it set the whole.
That's like when Frankie was drinking ravioli. Like just weird ass fucking.
That's only happened a few times. Don't.
He is a precious baby and deserving of our protection.
Oh man.
Dadawal asked in the chat, would the Patreon group ever get side adventures?
I never thought about that. Maybe that'd be cool. The Rolanus group.
I call Paddington.
Side adventures aren't there?
It's
What's up?
huh?
Where are the side adventures currently?
So far, there's just side adventures for the main
For the World Walkers.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought they were saying, would we ever?
Oh no! Like, sorry, with the Rolanus group, I think he's saying.
I got you now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe
they're-
that'd be cool. I would love to do crossovers. Like, that's what I want. I want crossovers with everybody.
That would be fun.
We so far we have at least a crossover. We have at least several. What's the word where it would relate to what's happening?
Yeah.
And then we also have things like Jiggles.
Yeah.
Just once, just
Everything,
for fun.
everyone-
Well, so far, Wes and Olivia said they're interested in crossover episodes.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Who are they? I need to know their
Sorry,
character.
Brummelstone
Ertl.
and Ertleby.
And Brummelstones
See,
could totally work since Brummelstone was.
But we
in
could
Cog
bring
for a while,
we
right?
could bring Brummelstone and Bobo, and then we could bring Ertleby and Paddington.
Oh my!
Like we could bring Ertleby to Rolanus.
I want to do. Yeah, that'd be.
Well, not to Rolanus, I guess. But,
well, yeah.
huh. Oops.
How about Earl be to Cog?
No. It's-
Just
don't
bring as many people to Cog as you need to, and Bobo will take care of things.
oh my gosh. Okay. What else we got?
So the next question, it's another question from Datawall. If they've been asked to find sanctuary, will she reach out to an old friend who was also searching for him?
Oh yeah.
Nova.
Would you ever reach out to old friends
I think she would. Well, because I guess that just kind of partially depends on what happened to her that I know of, partially. But I think, yeah, eventually. Well,
Means to a cause,
yeah.
whatever means you could use.
Nova had friends.
No, it was, they're talking. He's talking about Corin.
Hold on, say hi. 1, 2, 3.
Oh, I thought Nova. I'm sorry.
Hi.
My
Hi.
wife, that's my wife calling. I love you. Bye.
Bye.
He was like, "Oh, are you on the stream?" I was like, 1, 2, 3, say hi. She goes, "What? No." Hi. Go on.
Okay, but yeah, he's talking about Corin for those who don't know. But yeah, I mean, like depending on what happened to her, as long as I know that she was still alive, and because I don't know how much she cared too much about the rest of the group. Like, no offense, but she didn't really have like she's a little more worried about the Forge. So I mean, I think at some point, yeah, she would probably at least inquire as to Corin and what was going on with her, and maybe try to find her. Possibly, it's a possibility. Definitely.
In the chat, Data says how much money is needed to make this happen. The Patreon group Getting Side Adventures. I think I've said before, essentially the way it works is that I have to open up a little, I have a really big guilt complex in that I have stopped doing milestones on Patreon because we hit our goal for the musical episode. But the musical episode was decided to be put inside the canon of World Walkers. And so we've got it planned out. We just haven't caught up yet. And so I feel too guilty to allow more milestones until I have fulfilled my Patreon duty. So until I can deliver the musical episode, until we catch up to the point where the musical episode gets to be released, I feel too guilty to open up any milestones. So, for instance, like we have milestones. I've got milestones planned. I don't mind telling you that I've already told the World Walkers Rolanus group we've got a World Walkers Rolanus comic strip planned. With Wesley as the cartoonist, and
That's cool.
it's gonna be pretty
Really
exciting.
awesome.
It's gonna be a milestone. When we hit the
Yeah.
milestone, like we're gonna put some pages together and show you guys what it's gonna look like. Pretty fucking excited.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and when we hit that milestone, we'll start putting out like an actual retelling of the live stream in comic form. And it's gonna be based. What's the cartoon on Netflix? Hilda.
Yep.
It's going to be in that art style. But I can't tell any details because I feel too guilty that we hit the musical milestone and I just can't release it yet. I actually like one of the songs is already done. We've got the story set up. It's going to be good. I'm super excited about it, but I just can't do it until I fulfill the milestones. So like, I mean, I guess I could, but I don't feel right in doing it. So, yeah, I've got more milestones planned. I'm super excited about it. Next week, December 4th, is the 2-year anniversary of World Walkers. I'm pretty excited about that, and we're going to retweak the Patreon a little bit so I can tell you some of the new cool stuff coming out. So I was hoping to redo some of the Patreon milestones then, but I was like, no, I don't have musical episode out yet. So I feel too guilty. But crossover episodes, how much is needed to make a crossover? Again, yeah, once I don't feel right doing it until I can give you guys the things that you already are owed. So yeah. But as soon as it comes out, I can start doing some more milestone stuff, and I'm pretty excited about it.
So Yokira Oshini asks, what if the goblin was really talking to his god through his cat? And what would the characters do if Sabin and Jiggles suddenly developed the same relationship?
Yes.
Well, 4 people coming. I didn't know. They just told me.
What?
It's not a big thing. You're fine.
Okay.
I have to head out. Like 4 people are stopping over with, well, one person with their family is stopping over. So I didn't know it was happening. Just happened. I love you all.
See you
And
later.
See
Yeah,
ya.
yeah, yeah.
Bye.
Close the door.
If he started talking to some god with his dog,
Well, like the first part of it is like, what if? I think it's like, what if Haversack was really talking to his god through his cat? Which, like, yeah. Like, do you guys think he's actually
think he
talking?
is.
You think he is?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think I personally think, yeah, there's probably a good chance that somehow there's some, like, that's how he connects with him, at least, or something.
Mhm.
For whatever reason that may be.
Yeah.
Nova's just kind of like, whatever.
Yeah. But yeah, what happens if Jiggles and Saban reconnect?
Nova would not be happy.
I train him to be my attack dog. I'll take a level of ranger or some shit like,
Oh my god.
Holy Avenger.
or I'll just cast animal growth on it and permanize it, so that like Jiggles is like
Saint
fucking-
Bernard.
Jiggles fucking cut, man. He'll just be like 9 feet tall, just fucking jacked, head to tail.
9 feet tall.
Full of animal growth.
Does it make you that big?
I don't know. It helps your size category. Jiggles at least is a size medium in my heart. So,
He's a fucking porgy. That's like a small ass dog.
But in his
Yeah.
heart, it takes up more space.
Oh, okay. So he's an
Right,
enlarged
Jiggles
heart.
battle. Imagine me just fucking. I got Whitey Ford drawn out, charging down the street on a massive Jiggles.
Oh my god.
Damn incredible. Who needs a mount? I got Jiggles.
1, 2 toes 3. Little known fact: if you learn and cast speak with animal, the animal actually gets to speak back.
Nice.
I don't want to hear what Jiggles has to say.
No, I know. World Walkers, remember?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So the next, well, it's more of a topic. It was talk about how this turned into. A
Oh,
discussion.
yeah. You want me to go on that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, so as this topic came up, there's a little bit of back and forth in the chat about in Discord about Eric the Urk Turtle wanted to know what would happen if Haversack's cat really was his god. Like, not just talking, but like, what if it really was his god, right? This in turn led to the Underfold mentioning that Cagliostro has been mentioned several times across different podcasts and live streams. So like, that's not his god. Like, Cagliostro's real, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that we've seen his church in every world that's been seen so far. And I wanted to correct that. That's technically not true. The names of the churches have not always been specified, though in one case they were. So in the interest of clarification, I wanted to add a little bit of extra information that hasn't always been known. So here's how it goes. In Cog, they have been to the Church of Cagliostro, right? But Haversack knows it as a different name, and some of the followers of that church would know it as a different name too. It's also known as the Church of Knowledge, right? There was a belief that they have been to the Church of Cagliostro on several worlds. The refugees of Erlanus, also known as the Children of Erlanus, would disagree with that assertion because on Erlanus, they have been to a place called the Church of Wisdom. Now, where the confusion might come from is that the church suspiciously looks almost identical.
Mm-hmm.
There is one difference that the refugees of Erlanus would have to correct them on, but I don't know if their characters or their players have ever noticed the difference, so I don't want to say. But otherwise, they're nearly identical. Then there was a game, and did we live stream it?
Yes. If it's what I'm thinking of, then yes.
Okay, Menroth?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I don't think anyone really ever watched it, but we used to always provide the stream for people to see. Now Callie will have to help me remember this because I tried pouring through my notes, and since sometimes what I remember versus what the notes I have, which can be sometimes kind of sparse, can be
Mhm.
different. I remember that church kind of being run down.
I don't think we went
You didn't
in
go
it.
in, but there was a groundskeeper.
But yeah, it was kind of run down, I think.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
it wasn't in the best of shape.
Right.
But as best they could tell, the church shared nearly every attribute except for its upkeep with the other two churches.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't ever get to learn the name of that church, though.
No.
That church was called the Church of Sanctity. But that's where the confusion might have come from. I think,
Yeah.
yeah, the Underfold's belief was that each church was a church of Cagliostro. That is false. The refugees of Rolanus would be able to contest at least one of those churches and say that is not a church of Cagliostro. In fact, that was a church of Hobson.
Yeah.
And that is the Church of Wisdom. On Menroth, it's the Church of Sanctity. And then on Cog, the Church of Cagliostro. And then 1 2 Toast 3 is saying, what was the church in Obrimos in Tremessa Prime? I don't remember them ever, correct me if I'm wrong, because again, I'm very cautious. I don't ever want to get anything wrong because I very much a continuity whore. So when I don't have all my notes in front of me or I haven't prepared, I don't want to get something wrong. Did they go into a church on Obrimos?
Think so.
Or did they just see one?
I think they saw. No, it's been so long.
Yeah, I don't think I said, so I don't want to misspeak.
So.
Yeah. Because to the best of my knowledge, if you're talking about Tremessa specifically, again, unless I'm wrong, it probably wasn't specifically a functional church.
1 2 Toast 3 said, "Oh, they saw one."
Yeah.
Period. And then the writing on the wall was in a house.
Right. What they saw might have been a monument to a church, but churches were obliterated in one of the ages of Obrimos. Like, because gods were eliminated in one of the ages of Obrimos. In the, I don't. If anybody wants to hear about that, let me know. But I don't want to eat up all the time if people don't want to hear about it.
Do you want me to go on to the next question?
Yeah.
Okay. The Underfold asked, how long do the events of COG take place after World Walkers came through, and how long after the events of the COG stream? And then Dadawal asked follow-up, in the previous game with the Furious, in the previous COG game with the Furious Fox.
It's been like months at least.
Let me answer it a different way. Yeah. Yeah, so let's see. 1 2 Toast 3 says, I'm pretty sure they saw an actual church. I think only Vasa recognized it. Yeah, if they saw the church in post everything time changing, again, yeah, I think they did see an actual church, but it's a church that was like like a museum. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, it's not a church people go there to pray. It's a church to show people what churches used to look like back when gods existed. Yeah, so unless I'm misunderstanding you. So, yeah, let me answer this question in a different way, because this is really important. If you are not caught up on the most current World Walkers podcast, you have 5 seconds to take off your headphones. 5, 4, 3.
I'm sorry, Pedro.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I was just shouting. That is okay. It's okay. 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That question is best answered by telling you all that World Walker's Cog takes place after the events of their time travel shenanigans.
Ah.
So, just like World Walker...
I could still hear, so
Oh.
I'm just listening.
Oh, fuck
And
it.
I already knew about that.
Oh, cool,
I've
cool, cool.
listened to half the episode.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Oh, okay.
World
I think I'm
Walker's
good.
World Walker's Cog takes place after the events of the time travel shenanigans of the World Walkers
Mhm.
in the most recent episode. In the same way that World Walkers Rolanus takes place after the events of the time travel shenanigans of the World Walkers. So,
Gotcha.
any other sort of detective-like sleuthing you want to do about the Furious Funks, about World Walker's Cog, the old live stream, World Walker's Menroth, or anything else, don't try and do any of that yet. Let's just wait
All right.
until the
All
World
right.
Walkers are done. Let's just wait. It's just not
Gotcha.
worth. It's just not worth it, guys. Because World Walkers, the refugees of Rolanus, have been dealing with the World Walkers for a while now. Ask Callie how long they've been dealing with them.
a long time. A long
Okay.
time.
I'll tell you what, the World Walkers, the Cog crew has been dealing with it and they don't even know it.
Really? Okay.
Really?
Great. Now I'm worried about the fucks.
I do like that you had previously mentioned to me that the Rolanus group was sure that the World Walkers had fucked them somehow, and now
Oh,
we're
yeah.
finding out that
So yeah, we've known for a while.
Data Wall asked Callie, "How long have you been cleaning up after them?"
A while.
I can mention, I'm going to mess with them right now on live stream just so
Oh,
you can watch
God.
their face. The Funks were suffering from the World Walkers.
Mhm.
And they're not, but I can't tell you for how long.
Oh Jesus.
They put that baby there.
Get the fuck out of here.
Oh my God. Yeah, now I want to know for how long. Because like I
One
know.
session.
Nathan says, I was cautious about Haversack at first, but he comes from a very different society than the rest of us. He seems pretty good-natured, and I don't think he's smart enough for the long con of betraying, flaying us. Maybe that's how he gets us. Maybe we never see him coming.
Yeah,
That question came back a little while ago.
So another question from the Patreon doesn't say who it's from, but it was in game. How did the group come together?
That was not. I think that was something we kind of just left up. So I don't think we.
I think you guys skimmed it, but like,
Yeah.
are you ever interested in answering that?
Yeah, I am.
I'm down for answering it, yeah.
What do you think the best way of answering that is? Like, do we do a flashback episode? Because,
I think that could be fun.
my only problem with it is that, like, how do you do oh man, this has been up there the whole time. How do you do a flashback episode without me letting you kill you?
What?
Throw a lot of easy shit at us.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
I know. It's
Uh.
hard. I would probably do it as a milestone or something like that.
I feel like we could handle it. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. We ain't gotta worry about that. It's cool.
Data also asked if Sabin finds his dog Jiggles. By the way, Data Wall, come on. If Sabin finds Jiggles, does he know anyone he could leave Jiggles with the next time he goes off for a few days?
I would leave him with the captain. Of
So you're gonna bring the dog onto the ship?
Yeah, absolutely.
I didn't know he knew him like that. That's cool.
Yeah.
I think the would totally be down for having a dog on the ship.
I doubt it. I doubt it.
The next one I thought was a really interesting question. What monster or foe would you be most interested in fighting? Like, what's a monster you haven't tackled yet, or like, what do you think would be a good maybe like either like what's a monster you are interested in fighting finally that you haven't fought yet, or like if you don't have one, what do you think would be a fun fight for your group?
A boulet.
No.
Ooh, I haven't done that in a while.
I'm sorry. A boulette.
A boulette. Goddamn D&D Beyond. What's up, guys?
I don't know.
Almost done.
I'm not super versed in some of the monsters.
The problem is I'm a big coward. Like all the cool shit I want to fight will probably kill me in one hit.
Right.
Perfect.
I would love to fight a vampire. I don't want to be a vampire though.
I feel like this is the best group to fight a vampire. We got 2 forged. Fucking eat me. Like, go for it.
The vampire will know that.
Name of the episode.
Vampire will know this and will just go right for my handsome ass.
Yeah, we use you as a distraction.
No, I don't want to be a distraction. I'm too good looking to get fucking bit.
Huh?
I'm too good looking to get fucking bit.
Oh my god. See, then the vampire.
I'm too handsome for jailbait,
right? Oh my god.
Sided adventure with Jiggles and Mr. Wiggles.
That'd be great.
Oh
my god, if I could Jiggles, could I make him a vampire?
God damn it. So, what else we got?
What other world / genre would you love to take your character to? What genre / world would you least want to visit?
I love that question.
I also like that they were flip-flop. The first time it was world / genre, and then genre / world.
I'm just trying to think. I don't know what.
Oh,
go ahead.
No, go for it, because I don't really have my answer yet.
I love the idea that it's like your character, though, because like we could talk all day about like what games you play, but like where does Nova go?
That's what I'm trying to think. Like, I don't, because we got what? Menroth, Obrimos, Relanis.
But you can tack it by genre, though, too.
Genre.
Though. Like, I know where I want to see Nova.
Where?
Rom-com.
I want to see that too now. That'd be hilarious.
I want to see Nova forced in a rom-com.
Oh, man.
1, 2 Toes 3 says, spoiler alert, the correct answer is Pasmos.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's where I want to see Sabin. I want to see Sabin like forced into just
horror,
just like a hardcore Pasmos game, just like stuck in Haven, and the like Haven turns and says like, we don't know who you are, we don't know what your strange weapon is, but we need you. We've run out of supplies. We need to forge. There is the Minotaur tribes of the southern borders are willing to forge an alliance with us finally. We need to go further and further down into the corridors. The broken corridors are our only hopes in finding some sort of sustenance. We fear that if we don't forge an alliance with them, that we're going to have to return to the surface for some sort of reprieve from the starvation that plagues our people. Will you help us? And just watching what?
Oh, go on.
And just watching Frankie have to deal with this, because that's like a storyline that I've wanted to run for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Because like in Pasmos, you have to live like everyone lives underground. There's no humans, right?
Mm-hmm.
And every race has to have dark vision to survive. And one of the most powerful alliances that they can form is with Minotaurs, who have natural labyrinth navigation. And the Minotaur don't want to align themselves with anybody. Like, the dwarves are like the humans of the world. They don't the monster races, they don't want to team up with the regular races of Pasmos. Like, y'all fucking had your chance.
Mm-hmm.
The best thing you can do now is to turn to the monster races that used to be like hunted. You know what I mean? Like think of like a regular D&D world, right?
Mm-hmm.
You go out into the forest and you kill monsters and you get their treasure and shit. Now, these races live underground and their only hope is to forge alliances with all the fucking monsters of the world. So, like, one of the best things they can do is to go find and forge alliances with all the creatures that live beyond the shadows that they used to fear. They need these relationships now.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine like having to like essentially like go into the Underdark type of situation and forge alliances. And Pasmos used to be known as the world of 1,000 dungeons or the world of dungeons.
Mm-hmm.
Those dungeons are now their only hopes for survival unless they go to the surface. The surface is basically a hellscape. So do you go into the dungeons or do you go up above? They don't want to go up above. That's where the demons are waiting for them. So, like, that's where I want to see Sabin.
Are you back? Oh.
Yeah, that's where I want to see Sabin, like, forced to have to make that decision.
That'd be fun.
Oh, shit. That's way cooler than I was going to say.
What are you going to say?
Breakfast at Tiffany's.
Shit, all right, that's cool with me.
Breakfast Club, I mean, Breakfast Club.
God damn it.
It's like, breakfast please. What a choice.
I was thinking about Molly Ringwald.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Painter, like, what genre or setting would you like to see your character go? And Painter's like, it'd be great to see Sabin go into like Pasmos and have to make all these fucked up, crazy decisions.
No, I heard some of that as I was coming up. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh shit, yeah, Breakfast at Tiffany's or Breakfast Club.
But Nova's in a rom-com.
Yeah, I want to see Nova in a rom-com.
You're perfect for a rom-com.
It would be entertaining. It'd be very entertaining.
It'd be laugh tracks, complete laugh tracks while she stares. It isn't laughing with the laugh track at all.
Exactly. Exactly.
Reggie 1 2 Toast 3 asks, did you tell that family I said hi?
Yes, I did. Absolutely. Look, they came, they saw, and they conquered, and I'm back. But
they took your clothes and your hat.
Mm-hmm.
I made sure to tell them what I was missing because of their visit. Like,
get out.
And they say hi. They say hi.
I was talking to my goddamn fans, and they're like, "You ain't got no fans. Give me your hat."
I have no fans. He was like, "Oh, that's really cool." So anyway, I was stopping over to tell you. No, he says hi. Seriously though, the main gamer of us was like, "Oh," stuff. So he definitely said hi.
Mm-hmm.
You're back just in time, actually.
Yeah, for Dada had it's not really a question, it's a comment. Luca, keep being awesome. Looking forward to learning more about him.
I like it. I like it a lot. Luca's not going anywhere. He won't die easily. So I'm glad that people are liking him because I don't want him to die either. I'm scared for him because he's so pure, even though he's also
pure and tainted.
Yeah, like he is someone who was very pure, who has clearly been tainted, who is trying to retain that purity. Mm-hmm. And so I'm happy that other people like him because he came to me out of nowhere. I didn't know he would be like this.
Good.
Yeah, so if you guys have questions in the chat, start pouring them in now. We've kind of gone through all the Patreon questions. We've got a few more hanging around that were, I think, left over from last time, right?
Yeah, they were from last.
So we're gonna start wrapping it up, but we'll answer one or two of them hanging around just to give you guys time to answer some or ask some questions in chat. But yeah, are there any you really wanted to get out of the way, Shannon, from last time?
Yeah, so one of my biggest questions was the brief interaction with the commoners, I think this was like 2 episodes ago, a missed plot thread, or was it just a red herring?
Where is that at? What was that?
So in the episode, hang on. I think it was
Is
the
it when they're
champion-
running by the shop?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that was totally a fight planned. I had like a cool little like interaction where like that was the idea was that they were whoever looked at the window, I think it was supposed to be Darvin, so that part worked. They were supposed to see some people getting robbed,
Oh.
and then they were going to run out, and then they were going to see it was like a local gang, and then they were supposed to go out and help the people,
And instead they just
and
did
then they were going to rough them up in an alley, and then the idea was supposed to be that they were going to pretty easily take the group, but they were supposed to be surprised at the group tactics that the gang was going to employ. And I wanted to show that the people here were not, they weren't any match for adventurers, but they were supposed to be kind of surprised with their group tactics. And they're supposed to show that like adventurers could take them very easily. There is no way commoners could stand up to them. And it was supposed to show that the streets of Phalis, which had been pretty safe and boring, were getting unnecessarily dangerous. And they were just like, I think Darvin was like, commoner, some of this bullshit.
Yeah.
And then I was like, excuse me? And it was like, you heard me, commoner, what's going on here? And I was like, oh, geez, things are getting so... I had to like improv that little conversation. And then when he came back in, I think Lexter's like, things sure are getting rough around here. Golly geez, Rick. You're like, sure is getting really rough out here. Oh, gosh, geez, I wish things... I just had to improv more like exposition because they didn't go out there and fight.
That's funny.
I
I think like one thing to be fair, Saban wasn't even with us at that time. Like it was only like 3 of us in there at that moment.
I mean, it played appropriately because like Darvin wouldn't go out there and sully his hands with the common folk, I guess. I just didn't anticipate it.
Hear.
And I was going to say, one of us or 2 of us couldn't hear and
Both of
or
us.
were watching the wizard.
Yeah, I
know.
thought I understood it as Darvin was the only one who knew what was going on.
Like I saw Darvin go outside, and that was
Well, that
the
was
reason
funny because
I
like
saw anything.
that's actually like a strength of the group. Something I really enjoy is that like they're not afraid. There's a good and a bad. There's something good and bad to be said about like when you put character first, you offer up some really amazing role-playing opportunities, but sometimes you also can really shut a game down by going like, oh, my character wouldn't do that. And like, I know, but my story would.
Mhm.
Like, so amazing role-playing opportunities, but sometimes it can shut down an entire storyline at times, right? Whereas like this group, sometimes they would do something where it's like, oh, all right. But it also like they're always in service of the story. So it's like Darvin looks out a window and Nova goes, I'd better go look out a window too. And I'm like, why would you go look out a window? Because it's pushing the story. Pedro, shut the fuck up. Like, let her look out the goddamn window. Like, so like it helps the story go along. You know what I mean? So like that's what I love about this group is that like they respect the story and they respect the effort. And so they're always going to go like, what's outside?
Yeah.
Where's Darvin? Nova's been gone for a while. I should go look for Nova. Like they respect what's going on. And so they don't, you know what I mean? Like they really balance. Yeah. Someone asked in the group, how long is the gap between COG games and episodes? I can tell you that right now. Let's go into World Walkers podcast.
Oh, I just lost the chat, so
Okay.
my phone died.
It's pure chaos in there now.
Right.
I'm not afraid to stay up right now because my family just got home. So like I was like, I got time to kill till they get home. So they're actually home. So we're gonna wrap. That's why I'm wrapping it up now. I just got done editing 10/2/18. We've got 10/9, 10/16, and 10/30. And then I've got, I think, 2 episodes on my Zoom. So that's about a month and a week.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
Yeah. So only about a month gap. And I think one of those episodes is like, might be a filler. Like we kind of goofed around or something.
Oh yeah, probably
Usually happens at least once.
Yeah.
once a month.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's see what else we got.
Oh yeah, there's no problem.
1 2 Toast 3 said the correct answer really is Pasmos after hearing us talk about it, I guess.
Who wants Pasmos? Was that 1 2 3 Toast?
Yeah, because I gave a description of what a Pasmos storyline would be like if I put Frankie on Pasmos.
Listen, 1 2 3 Toast. You don't want Pasmos. Pasmos is what happens when we abandon storylines to go do what we want. You Pasmos when we're strong and feeling virile, like we're gonna take on the world. You want a group of characters that you care about to go to Pasmos. You don't want people to go to Pasmos unexpectedly or a new group on Pasmos. Those are not the things you want. You gotta fall in love with us. Give us time, okay? Either the Funks or the COG crew, like.
No, they're talking about the World Walkers going there.
Please put the World Walkers there.
Sure. Send the World Walkers to Pasmos.
I think that's what they're saying. Like I can't wait for the World Walkers to go there. I think.
This.
And then it says,
Well, they're
"How
They're
long
trained.
is it? How about the churches?" Data. I think we already talked about the churches. Unless-
Data had earlier made a comment about wanting to go further into the churches because you had said we might go into more later, and so I think you wanted. Are they?
Oh
sorry.
yeah, I'll touch on that, and then I gotta head out. If you guys want. So, the history of Obrimos and why there are fractured timelines of Obrimos, real quick is this. Obrimos' history goes like this. Obrimos was in ruins. Obrimos was completely devastated and ruled by dragons. And a group of powerful wizards had come together. There's I think 12 or 13 of them. The number about 13 had come together.
Are they all wizards?
Huh?
Yes. All of them had magical capabilities for sure.
Yeah. I mean,
great class.
they don't. Yeah. They whether in that the wizard like that doesn't matter. Like wizard with swords, wizards with spells, wizards with. I mean, yeah. I'm telling the official story. Not. I mean, you'll soon learn why the details don't matter. Yeah, because what happened was this: they finally slay the dragons that had conquered their world. And when they slay the last dragon, they find out why the dragons had held such a titan's grip on their world. They found a powerful artifact called the Orb of Cornificus. Orb of Cornificus allowed the dragons to manipulate time. And when they got the orb, they found out that the orb was used by the dragons to reshape Obrimos over and over again. Whenever the dragons got close to being defeated, they shattered their world and kept rebuilding it. And they found out they never knew what their world was like. They were pretty devastated, but then they realized they could do the same. They would make a world where dragons never existed. And they would give their world the chance that it deserved. And so they rebuilt Obrimos, but they made sure dragons never existed. When they did so, Obrimos finally got a chance to flourish. Problem is, they didn't know that, and they named themselves something. They became kind of like time lords, I guess is what you would call them, right? Like that's a Doctor Who thing, right?
Yeah.
They split the power amongst themselves. The Orb of Chronicus was used amongst all of them, right? They called themselves the Chronos, and they decided that they would protect Obrimos from any kind of real threat. And Obrimos thrived, but what they didn't know is that the dragons are the reason why a powerful subterranean group of creatures called the Illithid never took hold of Obrimos. The Illithid spread, and they conquered Obrimos. They took the minds of everybody on the planet. Once they realized it was too late, they wiped out the Illithid and made sure they never existed, and they restarted the world once more. With the Illithid, Chronos, once the Illithid were no longer a threat, the world entered a brand new age, and people were allowed to truly thrive and develop and explore, and they started to ponder their own existence. And in this time, they started wondering where they came from. And through this beautiful, thriving existence, they developed religion. They started to develop gods and divine thought. And the gods and goddesses were born. And as the gods grew in power, they became more and more powerful. And then they started feeling the Chronos on the edge of existence. And they realized that the people of Obrimos weren't actually free. And once they realized that this was a problem, they began to do battle with the Chronos. And so fierce battle erupted between the deities of Obrimos and the Chronos. And the deities of Obrimos sent their angels, their divine beings, their agents, their archons, what have you. They sent them down and they pleaded with their people. Give us your prayers. Give us all of your wishes. Give us everything. Bring us up to the power we need to wipe the Chronos out. And the Chronos realized what they had to do, because they actually couldn't defeat the gods. The gods were more powerful than them. But the people weren't. And so they wiped the people from Obrimos. Without the people, the gods were just husks. And they shifted them off into the astral plane. And they restarted Obrimos once more, realizing that people really can't be trusted to do their own thing. And so from here on out, in the fourth age of Obrimos, they realized they were going to have to really start fucking manipulating Obrimos to make the Obrimos they really needed, because people can't be trusted. And from the fourth age all the way up to the ninth age, because they kept having to restart Obrimos to get the Obrimos they really wanted, they started really manipulating and controlling time over and over and over and over again. By the ninth time was so fractured that we had the gray, broken, fractured timeline shifting about in this kind of void, floating around. You could actually walk from one broken timeline to the other and see timelines that never existed or should have existed. That's why time travel is so easy and so possible on Obrimos. By the ninth timeline, things started existing that shouldn't exist, like a creature called the brownie. They realized that fairies shouldn't, they were breaking the rules of their world, and so they got rid of a whole bunch of fairy-like creatures like the brownies. But one brownie walked back into existence in the ninth age, and that started a whole calamity of problems. And so the Chronos realized that worlds didn't work, time didn't work, and existence didn't work. So they decided to walk from world to world and start unraveling the pillars of time so they could destroy all of existence. And that was my biggest summer campaign, where I decided to start ending all of my worlds. And if the players couldn't stop the Chronos in time, I would wipe the World Walkers universe and never play again. But luckily they won, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, here we are today.
Yeah. The
was,
the
oh,
brownie,
today.
not the brownings. So in the Traveler storyline, Vasa met two of the Chronos. Yeah.
Kill them all.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Kill them all.
Fuck those two.
So yeah, that's why there are museums that look like churches on Obrimos. There are not churches on Obrimos. Except for maybe one. But not there where you saw it. That's it for me. I gotta start wrapping it up. Thanks to the COG crew for hanging out with us. Thanks for Shannon
Yeah, no
for
problem.
making all this possible because I don't want to do this by myself.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. If you have any questions, join us in our Discord. Let me get a Discord link in here so that people can actually. Well, I think you guys are all here, right? Anyone here not in our Discord? I'll still pop a chat a link in here just in case. But yeah, if you're not in our Discord, drop in there. Actually, you know what? Let me do it this way. We patrons get first dibs on questions. Anyone can ask a question, but patrons get first dibs. So, I guess it is a plug, but I'm not trying to do a plug. If you're not a patron, consider becoming a patron. Lots of cool benefits like you get early episodes, you get bonus episodes. Or there's some people who don't even take the benefits. I don't know why. Take the benefits. Don't rip yourself off. They just like helping. That's weird to me. I love you all. But yeah, so patreon.com/worldwalkers. But yeah, we will see you again. Oh, it's getting close to Christmas time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so let me check the calendar.
Yes,
But let's see. The next episode,
December 14th.
number 40. I think that's good for me. Are you good on that?
I think I am. I'm pretty
Then
sure.
we'll probably see you in 2 weeks for the next World Talkers. I guarantee we'll have something to talk about.
Oh, I'm sure.
Always do.
He keeps saying that.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna have something to talk about. Yeah, it's gonna be big. So anyway, we will see you all next time. Thanks for hanging out with us. We'll talk to you next time. Bye.
Later on.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.